But again, I won't see the open or anything, most likely, so you're just going to give me a heads up. Are we playing live now on the streams? Okay. Just give Austin a second here since he's on his preseason.
You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
Hey, welcome into a Tuesday. We're live at Best Bet St. Augustine and, the city of Jacksonville. And getting ready for another hot day and getting ready for the Tampa Bay Bucks that come to town over the next couple of days, Wednesday and Thursday. That's the excitement. They're at Everbank Stadium for the next couple of days at Jags headquarters. And then, of course, a game on Saturday inside the bank, 7:30 kickoff this week against the Bucks, where we likely won't see the first teamers, but there's still a lot to keep an eye on. That'll be one of the topics today, actually. There were so many guys that shined, and we talked about Parker Washington and Mac Jones and other players, Tank Bigsby, that 2023 draft class. What about some others that you almost have to look up? Who are these guys? And, that's that time of year in training camp. One of the big stories around the NFL, by the way, is not a who are these guys instead of a welcome back. Both you and Habby saw this. Martavis Bryant is getting back. You take 6 years away from the league and you come back in. I mean, who is this guy? Chad Ochocinco?
I mean, he might be. We'll see. I think it's harder enough to be away from the game for 1 year, let alone, your last game being in 2018 it was. So, yeah, I think the deck is definitely stacked against Martavis Bryant, but just a guy who popped up today where it's like, oh, yeah, I remember him. Speedster, played at Pittsburgh a little bit, spent some time. Well, I think at the time would have been Oakland, but also maybe Las Vegas when they first moved there. Yeah, definitely a guy who you kind of forget about, and then he just pops up. It's like, oh, yeah, I remember him.
Did he wear number 18? In my mind, he wore number 18 at one point.
Let's look it up.
I don't even know why. I'm not like fantasy football guy, but
yeah.
I feel like Martavis Bryant making plays, Pittsburgh 18 was the number that I remember.
10.
Dang.
At Pittsburgh. Missed it by that much.
Yeah, it wasn't that far off.
Yeah.
Usually those guys are in their 80s.
Yeah.
There's some wild storylines around the National Football League. One of the things we want to do today is kind of take a bigger picture look at the league because, I don't think there's been these crazy headlines. I don't know if it's just because Aaron Rodgers isn't talking as much on the Pat McAfee show or what.
Well, Aaron Rodgers does feel so bad about what happened with the whole COVID situation, though. He did say that.
Yeah, it's like a bio came out, right?
Yes.
And that is part of the story.
Yeah.
But what about the Haason Reddick story?
Mm-hmm.
And what about the Matthew Judon story now out of New England? And we continue to monitor the Brandon Aiyuk story. You'd have three big-time players either somehow dramatic in their own rights in their own organizations or on the move still in the next few weeks. And I don't know, maybe we did have this last year and I just don't remember, but those are three big-time players. Is it going to get settled out, or is it going to be a stalemate, or is it going to be, hey, see you on the move, somebody else go, take a chance on one of these guys? And could Jacksonville be in the mix on any of them? They keep having this revolving door of pass rushers. If a pass rusher like that comes available, now the type of guy that they're trying to get in here, I don't know about Reddick, given his situation that from the outside looking in, but a Judon would make some sense.
Judon would make some sense, but also I think you've seen some stuff to like from Gibson in the first preseason game. You've seen Abdullah now kind of, have his first sack and cement himself a little bit as a guy for depth. So I feel like the Jaguars will always be looking for, pass rush depth because you can never have too much of it, but it's got to come at the right price. And I get it. The salary cap is definitely non-existent. it's all facade as far as I'm concerned. But you have to ask yourself, if you bring in a guy like, if you bring a guy like Reddick, if you bring in a guy like Judon, how much is that going to cost you down the long run?
Yeah, the Reddick story is wild. First, let's go there.
Yeah.
This is a stalemate now. I mean, you have two people releasing. You have that side releasing, saying, hey, we want to trade. And then Joe Douglas comes out and the Jets are like, hey, we ain't trading you.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And apparently the story is, because you're getting the leaks from the reporters, which means coming from the agent, the story on the Reddick side of things was, listen, we told you part of the reason Philly moved us, we wanted a deal. And when they moved us, we wanted a deal. Like, you knew that coming in. Any team knew that. Yeah. And the Jets haven't been able to come to a deal. Now, Reddick didn't even show up. Like, they couldn't find him, remember?
Yeah.
For a bit.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, this whole thing starts back when he was in Philly and he wanted out because he wanted a new contract. And Philly, in good light said, okay, we'll let you go and we'll let you pick where you want to go. You'll have command of what team you want to go to. The Jets become available. The dialogue, I believe, from what I've read, the research that I've done, said that eventually the Jets were going to pay Haason Reddick. But the agreement, and this is just things that I've read, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but the agreement from Haason Reddick was that he would come to all the off-season voluntary workouts, and then they would get a deal done after the season. Now, whether that message was passed on to Haason Reddick, whether that message was passed on to his agent, and he didn't know, but when he found out that he couldn't get paid, before the season started, this is where it all kind of went to hell, if you will. And then there was reports saying how, he wants to be like, I think it's $40 million a year, which, sorry, man, not going to happen. And like the Jets really they brought a guy in, they had John Franklin Myers that they let go essentially, who was a hell of a pass rusher in his own right, because they thought they were going to get Reddick for the entire season. So when we talk about that, you just got to remember, the Jets don't lose anything here if Reddick doesn't play. Because they gave up a conditional, I think they gave up a conditional third if he plays.
Right. Yeah.
If he doesn't play, what are they going to lose, a sixth? So the Jets kind of have all the power right now. From depth purposes, yeah, you want to get Reddick on the field because he's a great player and he can help your team win. But Reddick doesn't really have a lot of power right now because the Jets don't lose anything if he doesn't play.
Yeah, and by the way, they already have a very good defense. Mm-hmm. I mean, certainly would help to have them, but they have a very good one. They sent the Eagles a conditional 26th third-round pick, by the way. So It's not even like next year's third-round pick. It's like way down the road third-round pick. And he has 50.5 sacks, and they let Bryce Huff go, too. They couldn't come to a deal with him, so that was kind of the replacement plan for to have Haason Reddick. It's been a weird story ever since he got traded. I mean, I'm not sure he stepped foot in the building. Since he's been traded, I mean, maybe to sign, or at least to consummate the trade or whatever, or get a physical. I don't know, but it's like he hasn't even been a part of their team. It's pretty odd.
Correct.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
Very good player.
It's just, I don't know. I mean, obviously Reddick's to blame here a little bit, but I'm not sure if it's bad communication between agent and team, if it's bad communication between agent and player, but something got lost in translation, and there's obviously a giant disagreement now, and I really wonder, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fines coming to Haason Reddick's way, and I feel like the Jets are a team that aren't going to pull off that.
Do you think the Jags still need pass rush help?
I mean, I think you can always add pass rush help. Absolutely.
Well, because what's interesting to me is some of their moves that have been made, like even some of their subtle moves in camp. The transaction wire is usually buzzing when you have 90 guys, so you really don't know what a lot of that means. We've talked about Tayshaun Gibson. What does a signing mean to the roster? That one's a little bit more easy to navigate, or at least have an idea of what it could mean. These other guys coming in, even Breland Speaks, right? The UFL player, a defensive player there. Okay, hey, let's see. Let's roll the dice, right? Let's get some competition. That's a back end, no doubt type of play. So those kind of moves don't necessarily say they're thirsting to find the fourth pass rusher. But I do think Deshaun Dixon is a guy that they were developing and bringing along and had been patient with. And then he tears his ACL last week in camp, so he's now out of the mix for that fourth pass rusher spot with a guy like Gibson. I've seen a guy like DJ Coleman play pretty well for the Jags. I mean, he's been all over the place on the practice field, and I thought he was all over the place the other night too. So he's an interesting guy in the mix here. So these are a lot of unknowns. So, yeah, I think at face value, could the Jags use more firepower, star power in their pass rush room? Sure. To me, Reddick isn't a play here. That's not why I bring it up. Judon's interesting because he wants a longer deal, a bigger deal, and he's on his final deal with the New England Patriots, who obviously are not in contention mode.
Yeah.
That was a great signing by the New England Patriots. And if I remember correctly, I thought the Jags might have been interested in Judon when he came out, or when Baltimore let him go. So when New England got him, I thought the Jags might have been in the mix. I don't know how heavy. I can't remember exactly how heavy they were. But that was a great signing by New England. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, but if you're going to pay Judon, then are you going to pay Trevon Walker then next year as well?
Yeah,
because I mean you're going to have a lot of money then tied up with Josh Hines Allen, with if you bring a guy like Judon, and then obviously Trevon Walker will probably get paid as well.
Yeah, I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know if of the two players out there and that one could move potentially, Judon would make more sense to me. And I think they're going to continue to kick tires on guys and hope for Gibson. And by the way, Gibson had a great series the other day too. And this is a guy that's done it before. I think we're probably sleeping on him a little bit too much. I think he's going to fill that role. If you're right, yesterday we were having this conversation, you get like 30-plus sacks out of the trio of players. Yeah. Right, with Trayvon and Josh and Armstead. Yeah. I mean, Gibson only has to chip in like 4 sacks. And you could get a couple from an Abdullah, or you could get a couple more from even Devon Hamilton sneaks in a sack or two, or Roy Robertson-Harris has 3 or 4. I mean, now you're starting to compile, you're into the mid-40s in sacks, or up around 50.
And, Brent, let's not make a mistake here. I mean, we have, Travis Gibson being my super sleeper of the year. So, I mean, I'm not sleeping on him by any means, dude. Like, I think he's going to produce. I think he's going to be big in this Jaguars rotation.
Tank and Travis sitting on that couch for you.
Tank and Travis, man. You're going to need big years from you both of you. Yep, you're going to need big years from both of you. Yes.
And then the other one, from an NFL standpoint, now this is not really related to the Jags as much, but is Brandon Aiyuk. And Aiyuk has really got some power in this of saying, hey, I don't want to go to New England. I don't want to go to Cleveland. I mean, there are deals on the table for this guy. Yeah. To go on, the Cleveland one was appetizing, I think, for San Francisco.
Did you see what they were offering him?
I think the Cleveland one ended up being Amari Cooper, a second and a fifth, if I'm not mistaken.
So if you're Cleveland, do you make? I mean, so who wins that trade? Like if and once again, Aiyuk said no, thank you, I'm going to stay in San Fran. That deal's not good enough for me. Obviously, if Aiyuk goes to Cleveland, they would have gave him a new contract. Hindsight's 2020. We'll never know now. But who would win that deal? Would you say?
I actually think and I think I know where you're going here because I believe we talked about it briefly. You like Amari Cooper. I like Amari Cooper. And I think the second and fifth is a lot. And the other part of this is I'm still not sold that Aiyuk is single-handedly by himself going to be a $30 million a year wide receiver. I just don't know if he's that guy. And I think you can also say, hey, talent-wise, Devontae Adams can be that guy, but it hasn't worked out at all to be a $27 million receiver in Vegas. So I think it's very risky paying those receivers north of 25. I mean, Miami's got 2 of them, but there's not a lot of those guys around the league. And I don't think Aiyuk is Justin Jefferson. I don't think Aiyuk is Jamar Chase. I think he's not Tyreek Hill. I think there's a little bit of a next level in there. He's probably more $24 million guy rather than $30 million guy, in my opinion. So, yeah, I would say San Fran would get the better of the deal. They get a happy player in Amari Cooper, and they get a couple more picks to recoup and utilize and build draft capital for upcoming years.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so too. Absolutely.
So I don't know where he lands. So obviously this is a Pittsburgh-only thing. It's either he's going to play in San Francisco or he's going to Pittsburgh.
That's what it seems like. Yes.
So the latest one on Pittsburgh is San Francisco has inquired about Minkah Fitzpatrick. Are you that desperate for a receiver in Pittsburgh?
I mean, I think you're desperate for a receiver in Pittsburgh if you see their depth right now, but Minkah Fitzpatrick's a guy when they brought in from would have been Miami, made a giant difference right away on their defense. Like he's the guy that can cause a turnover, that can give you big plays set aside from TJ Watt. It's pretty risky. I mean, I don't know if it'd be a straight-up trade Minkah for. I assume you probably have to throw another draft pick on there as well if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. But yeah, I mean, they are in desperate need, I think, of a wide receiver. So it does make some sense. Would I do it? Probably not, because I know what Minkah means to my defense, but it's intriguing.
I don't even know if we'll be able to hear Hamby or not, but let's try it. Hamby, do you think you would go bring in Minkah Fitzpatrick? Would you give up Minkah Fitzpatrick if you're Pittsburgh for the idea of getting your quarterback some help at the outside with Brandon Aiyuk?
Absolutely, I would. Hopefully y'all guys can hear me. But
we got you.
Yeah, I think Aiyuk and paired with Pickens would be about I mean, a dream come true for either Russ or Justin Fields. And if I have to give up a guy like Minka, I would, especially just how many times did we see different teams this offseason load up on weapons? And, kind of that was the mantra almost. You can never have enough. And the Steelers seem like one of the teams that have the least. So if you got to go lose a defensive playmaker to gain an offensive playmaker, I would do it.
Yeah, it's funny. It would tell you a lot. I mean, again, Fitzpatrick kind of how much is. It's not like he's a pass rusher. Like that's a little different. Maybe not even a corner. So there's varying levels of, I think, how important a player is. But Fitzpatrick, to your point, has been a good player. That's a name that, like, oh, okay, that makes you think twice.
Yeah.
But I think you guys are. I mean, to be dynamic on offense this day and age in the NFL is more important than to be dynamic on defense. You can figure out the defense, but you need to be dynamic on the offensive side. And I don't think they're as bad at the receiver position as you guys do. I think Pickens is a good player. So
yeah, but do you think Pickens is a 1?
I think he's close. I think he's pretty close to a 1. Again, he's not that upper echelon 1, but I mean that's a small pool of people that are upper echelon 1. I think he can act like a 1, like Christian Kirk act like a 1 for the Jags, and you could still be solid on offense, right? Or pretty good on offense. So I don't hate their weaponry as much as everybody else seems to hate it, but I also would get you add Aiyuk to Pickens now you got a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, for sure.
So pretty interesting to keep an eye on what else is going on around the National Football League. We're so locked in the Jags. I actually think it's been somewhat of a quiet training camp for a lot of people. I don't know why that is. I can't put my hand on it, but it just hasn't been a loud training camp, I think, across the NFL. Maybe it was the Olympics.
Yeah.
There's something else going on. Maybe it was a loud enough off season. So it's pretty fascinating to kind of keep an eye on and watch. Let's do this. Take a break. We're live at Best Bet St. Augustine. They had a winner for their Fairways to Fortune event, and we can showcase that coming up a little bit later on. But at Best Bet St. Augustine, always like hanging out here on a Tuesday this time around. Again, Jags and Bucks will practice the next couple of days, so it will be a noisy training camp practice or two. If you're heading out there to Jags headquarters these next couple of days. Hello, Kevin. Thanks for saying hi. 1st and 10 training camp, final week of it. Before we hand off to the Friday Night Blitz on Friday, we'll have tonight, Wednesday, and Thursday, so check it out. A full recap of what's going on. Press Taylor talk today. We'll catch up with a couple of players, including Tayshaun Gibson, I think, is scheduled to talk today after practice. That's tonight, 11:15 on CBS 47 and Fox 30. We'll be back on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one-card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One-card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Oh, man, it is that time. I love being outside, but it is just so hot. Oh, my gosh, I cannot be outside. Well, it doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, I've got the perfect solution for you to be able to stay outdoors and not look like this guy.
GW Outdoor Solutions has the solution that will help you create areas of shade with their automated retractable awning. As the summer months inch closer, the high temperatures will be right there too. With GW Outdoor Solutions, go from scorching to cooling in no time with one simple push of a button. These innovative shade solutions not only provide protection from the sun and rain, but also add style and functionality to your home. Let GW Outdoor Solutions transform your backyard into paradise. Check out gwoutdoorliving.com for your free estimate.
Summertime means sizzling sales at Nimnick Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Nimnick never charges above MSRP. You can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnick Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnickBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnick is there for you, even on Sundays. Visit the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
It's hard to put a price on comfort, especially when you use that comfort on a daily basis. But if we're going to put a price on it, how does the lowest price guaranteed sound? Furniture Source is going to have the biggest brands, whether it's Ashley, Casper, or Tempur-Pedic, and once again, it's going to be the guaranteed lowest price in Jacksonville. Right now, my friends at Furniture Source are going to give you the ultimate hookup because all month long, they're making their inventory wholesale price. Check out their markdowns up to 50% off. And remember, since it's Furniture Source, you're getting the guaranteed lowest prices in Florida or your money back. Don't have the cash on you right now? It's no worry. Shop endless options to suit your style and budget and enjoy 36 months off with no interest financing. Why use your money when you can use theirs? Whether it's beds, couches, tables, or chairs, Furniture Source is going to have exactly what you're looking for. Shop the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed. Find the location nearest you at FurnitureSourceJacks.com.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. BoldCityAC.com. And they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Well, there's a look at some of the pictures from Best Bet St. Augustine. Remember, last time we were here, gosh, it's been a little bit now, at the end of July. And they had their big Fairways to Fortune giveaway, $30,000 in giveaway dollars, including that big golf cart that we've been showing. And kind of worked out pretty cool that the guy with the most entries, which means he had spent the most time because he got an hour of play, meant an entry, he ended up winning. So he gave himself the best shot to win.
I like it.
And he ended up winning. And this was like over 3 months' time that the drawings were entered. So there were a lot of names in the hat. But fun day there. As you can tell, it was packed on that Saturday. And oh, there he is.
Nice.
Mr. O'Shaughnessy, I believe, is his name. Let me get it. Mark O'Shaughnessy, yes. So congratulations to him. Nice new golf cart here from Best Bet St. Augustine. Another big month of events. They've got everything going on at Best Bet, not just here at St. Augustine, but up in Jacksonville, Monument Road, of course, and in Orange Park as well. Brent Martineau Austen Lane, Jason Hamby on a Tuesday. We'll be down here again on Friday, by the way, at Beaux-Arts. So you can come out there from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. with the show. Today, We got a pretty full lineup. We'll have a couple of shows, and then after the game with Marty Lee from First Coast High School at 2 o'clock today, a debut edition of that show with after the game Josh Baker, Kevin Sullivan. That will replay tonight at 6 o'clock. Then we've got the Young and Norvell show at 4 o'clock. Tomorrow it's Cup Date. And there was some interesting stuff happening in NASCAR over the weekend with another heck of a finish, a controversial finish with Austin Dillon and Joey Logano and everybody else. So Stuart will have a wrap of that coming up tomorrow. And, of course, a week with Action Sports Jacks. Bucks and Jags in the joint practices. Doug already said yesterday, hey, we do not want fights. The teams are getting fined, by the way, a couple $100,000 if they do have fights. I think it was the Giants and Lions. They both got fined, I think, that amount of money. And I don't know if it's just like pushing, shoving, or severity of fight. I think it's got to be a pretty good fight to get fined. But, I mean, $200,000 probably in NFL money is still nothing, but it's a pretty hefty fine if teams do it.
When you say teams are getting fined, though, it's not the players in the fight, right?
I think it's
the team as in general.
So I think put some ownership on the
players have to wash some dishes or something and try to pay that off. But, no, I got you. I mean, I understand trying to cut back on fights, but it's still the game of football. Like, it's hot. You're in the dog days of summer. You know, someone could push you up to the whistle. Like, things can happen. Like, I understand coaches want to prevent that because they want to keep their players healthy, and the last thing you want to see is a guy throw a punch and break his hand in some guy's helmet. Which, by the way, I mean, I'm sure has happened. The coaches always say it. I've never seen that actually happen.
Yeah, the only thing you ever hear happen from a helmet standpoint, I'm trying to think, is it's usually like a quarterback hitting and hurting a hand, a finger or a hand or something like that. I'm actually surprised it doesn't happen more. Did you see how C.J. Beathard the other day when he got hit didn't get hurt on that play? Is actually pretty remarkable because, I mean, he's slinging his arm forward as he's getting hit. It just stops. Just stops because he gets whacked on the play. And how you get up from that, I'm surprised there aren't more injuries when it comes to that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I guess overall, I mean, we've kind of noticed it before. We're like, hey, dude, why are you punching a helmet?
Sure.
But I don't know if we've actually got the injury from punching the helmet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I heard that maybe more than anything in training camp is don't get in fights, don't punch helmets, you're going to break your hands, And
it never happens.
Of all the fights that I've been in, all the fights that I've witnessed, and there was a bunch in Chicago that I witnessed, and that wasn't even part of, just witnessed them, never saw somebody break their hand.
So do you think... I mean, take the Bucks the way they are. The Jags are very businesslike. The Lions going up there last year there was a lot of jawing going on because of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So you could tell like that could get under your skin a little bit. You want to go bow up. Campbell's team kind of plays like that. No surprise they were fighting against the Giants, right? What do you make of the Bucks? Do you think coming in, like what are the odds that we're going to see a decent fight?
A decent fight? I'm going to say probably not too high. I mean, like the odds, I would say like plus 400, plus 300 that you would see. Like I'm saying, like a brawl. Like, yeah, you're gonna see maybe some pushing and like players holding each other back, but like
extra blows with the whistle.
Yeah, but an all-out brawl, I think is going to be a little more rare because I think that Doug Peterson, especially being in Jacksonville, is going to try to limit any of that.
Yeah, I just don't suspect that we'll see a lot of it now. A little extra shove on Trevor. You get that offensive line that bows up. Obviously, a guy like Cam Robinson. Will the Jags be a little feisty on that defensive side? Will they try to? Does it say something to your team that if you are a little bit like that, is it okay to get pissed off sometimes in camp? I think that part is encouraged to show some attitude, to build some attitude. And I think of the offensive line specifically. I think you want to almost see something out of this offensive line where it's like, hey, you're not messing with us. Like, we're going to impose our will. I said this yesterday. I said, I think the Jags look pretty physical. They looked the part, as good as they've looked probably in my time covering the Jaguars. He shows up on the defensive side to me more than the offensive side. But from an offensive perspective, you want a little nasty in that offensive line. And quite frankly, the last couple of years, they haven't had enough nasty. So maybe this is a place where the nasty comes out without taking a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to let it apply. But I'm also excited from the Buccaneers coming to town because they obviously have a pretty solid offense. They have great wide receivers. They're going to test the secondary of the Jaguars, and especially the secondary right now that might be a little deep in its own right where, some guys can maybe come to the forefront in terms of depth purposes of where you want to put them, depending how these practices go now with these Bucks wide receivers.
Yeah, and I think they're going to really try to get if they're going to do this, they're going to get a lot of good work in to the point where obviously they don't have to play on Saturday night, a lot of these first teamers. So there's a lot of jobs to be won. I was thinking of this as you're talking about fighting and hands on helmets and other things like that. How about the Ventrell Miller Club? You saw the other night?
Yeah.
So his hands wrapped, obviously, he had the hand injury. It kept him out of practice for a little bit, or he was limited. And so then he shows up at the game, and, I mean, this thing is like, I mean, it's huge.
Of course, yeah.
I said to somebody on the sideline, I'm like, I'm actually surprised they're allowed to play with that. That looks like a weapon.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised you're allowed to wrap your hand to that extent and be able to play. Now, the protection of the injury is obviously there. Heck, I mean, I feel like you could protect anything with the size club they had.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But are you a little surprised you can get away with a club with all the hand fighting that goes on? I know the linebacker spot's different, but I mean, sometimes we see this with even the offensive lineman or defensive lineman.
No, I'm not really surprised. I mean, obviously, if you smack somebody across the head, like that could be a penalty and everything, but no, I'm not too surprised by it. I had to play at the club my sophomore year at college.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I feel like I've asked you that before.
Yeah.
I thought you might have had one. In my mind, I thought you might have had one in Jacksonville, but I guess maybe you're.
Maybe I had a lot of things in Jacksonville. I might have, but for like a game or so. But I mean, yeah, I think the broken fingers. You had to they call it buddy tape. I always used to tape my fingers up just because I always would break them and everything. Yeah, I mean, as long as, like, back in the day, I feel like in the 70s or, like, the 60s when, like, the NFL Films was celebrating nonstop violence, like, yeah, if you had clubs on, you could smack somebody in the chin and, probably concuss them just from the stiffness of that club. But nowadays, I mean, I don't think it's, like, that brutal in terms of, hurting somebody with it. And obviously, it takes away from your tackling. It takes away from trying to wrap up somebody, and it makes it harder. Heaven forbid, if a ball comes your way with an interception, probably not going to get it.
Yeah, well, that's true. And we've seen that. I think it was Devin Lloyd, actually, who played with that, I think, his rookie year. And he had his hands on a couple of footballs and had a chance. And that was during the stretch, actually, where he was getting the turnovers.
Yeah.
And he could have had two or three other ones, I remember, but he was playing with a not as big a club as Ventrell Miller. I mean, that thing was huge the other day. So it's pretty surprising. Hey, with the play, speaking of that, with the play of Miller, and maybe less Miller, but more Muma. I was thinking of this after the show yesterday when you were talking about Lloyd. Could they have a quick hook? Are they going to give him a lot of rope? If he doesn't play well, I mean, with these other guys, they've got plenty of competition there.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends because Ryan Nielsen's not tied to Lloyd. Like, Ryan Nielsen wasn't here when they drafted Devin Lloyd, so, like, he has no marriage to it. But I think the optics from Trent Baalke's side is like, hey, we got to give this guy every opportunity to succeed because if we don't, it's going to look pretty bad on us then when we drafted this guy in the first round and, now he's not even starting. So I think they're going to give him a little longer leash maybe than other players just because of where he was drafted. But that's not to say if it doesn't turn around, if it doesn't look good, that he can't ride the pine because I think Ryan Nielsen's thinking, I need the best 11 guys out there. I don't care where they're drafted or what their stories are or what the optics are going to be. I need 11 guys that can fly around and make plays.
And listen, I think we got to be it's maybe a player or two that you noticed the other day, and that was like the disappointing part. Lloyd still not quite figuring it out. He's moved so back to that Mike or to that Mike spot. But I just also think when you have that conversation, and if that starts to build a little bit, where it's like, okay, this is happening more and more, and there's a little bit of a concern there. You do have two capable guys. They like Ventrell Miller. I mean, they drafted him in the fourth round, but they like the way he's played. He just hadn't stayed healthy. But Muma's a guy that they really invested in as well. I mean, one of the two guys isn't going to play a lot. I mean, Muma's going to play the strong side right now, but they invested draft capital in both guys. So I don't really look at this as much egg on the face as getting it right. I mean, if the third round guy is better than the first round guy, so be it.
Brent, but if your first round guy doesn't produce, that's egg on your face.
I get it, but not if like five other guys do. Like I don't know.
You can't miss your first round picks.
Well, they
can't do it.
but they didn't that year, right? I mean, they got Trayvon too. He was part of it. They took a risk to trade back into the first round.
Yeah, but Devin Lloyd is still a first-round pick. Like, if he's not going to be your starter, and listen, I'm not going to write Devin Lloyd off yet. Like, there's still plenty of preseason left to go. He can figure it out. Like, I'm not saying he won't be the day one starter by any means, but I think that if he doesn't become the day one starter, and we're talking about Chad Muma, Ventrell Miller playing over him, then yeah, I think as a GM, you have a little egg on your face because you have to get your first round picks to be starters. Like, that's why you draft them in the first round.
Yeah. It would just depend what it looks like. If we're having our conversation yesterday of like, hey, now you got 5 guys from that 2023 class and the 22 class of Trayvon and Muma and blah, 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 blah. And then, okay, now we've got the 27th pick that traded to back up for didn't work out, but the 21 class did and everything else. I think in totality, you can swallow it a little bit easier. If you're not winning football games and the rest of those guys, it's still just Anton Harrison from the 23 class or whatever else. The bottom line is, to me, they're going to waste a pick somewhere in there anyway. I mean, Muma's not going to, if Muma doesn't play more reps, he's not helping the team.
But I think from a third-round pick, I mean, yeah, you want to see your third-rounder starter as well, but if you get some special team stuff out of them, at least, like, that's something. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to drafting a guy in the third round if he's a special teams ace or a big contributor in the special teams. I am opposed to drafting a guy in the first round and just putting him on special teams and saying, this is our guy now. Like, no, if you're a first-round pick, you have to be a starter.
Do you think Muma can play probably either one of those spots, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously he's playing the strong side right now. And again, I think it's worth noting. I think he went under the radar a little bit the other day, but he was a guy that showed up. I thought the other thing that I noticed from him, and it was really maybe the first time I just looked at him real close, another guy that seemed to get more physical from last year to this year. The look of him was more physical. I don't know if he gained weight or any of those kind of things, but we're actually.
Does he have a mustache? Does he look more physical?
No, I don't know. You can tell these guys sometimes. I mean, I say the same about Christian Braswell. To me, I don't know if you would have noticed him last year. I think you kind of noticed him. He looks physically developed better.
Okay.
Remember that too. I said this yesterday, but kind of in passing. One of the things that Trent Baalke, when January of this year, when he finally did the news conference,
okay,
he said stuff about like the strength and conditioning, because I remember bouncing back at him and saying, well, do you need to make a change there? And it was kind of a weird mixed message thing, was like, are we doing enough in the weight room, or are we doing the right things in the weight room? I was like, well, okay, if you're not, are you going to make a change? No, we love what they're doing. It was kind of this weird thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I would just say, so far, so good in the weight room from the look of it for the Jags, of a lot of different players. And I don't know if it might be a story that we have to kind of dig into and say, did you do something different? Was the approach different? And I think what Baalke was trying to say there was, hey, we need more competition in that room too. Every rep has got to be a competition. So we're just all getting better, increasingly better. And I think that's what Baalke was trying to say. At the initial stage, I was like, did he just throw the strength and conditioning guy under the bus?
Yeah, a little bit.
But then he's like, no, we love him. So it was a very weird thing. But the bottom line is, that was another thing that was the Jags were attentive to, I think, in the offseason.
No, for sure.
As how they're crafting that part of it, which I said this yesterday. It's almost like a high school and a college thing. You don't usually hear about that as much in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's notable because all these guys added weight for Ryan Nielsen, and all these guys are developing. A lot of young guys anyway turned into from young men to grown men,
sure,
in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, stay tuned for Brent Austen beach body all first team coming down this Friday. We're going to break down some bodies.
Yeah, I think we might have to. You got to have a big, good body to play this game, I guess. Play it
for the I know a couple guys who didn't have like the best bodies that were all right though with it.
Yeah,
but no,
get away with it.
Sometimes I mean, obviously, if you're in the interior, I feel like you get away with it a little more. Yeah.
So anyway, I would keep an eye on I think Moom is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think that linebacking core is interesting. And there's one thing, I think you can be critical of it too. Why have the Jags spent so much investment on the linebackers? Not every team does that.
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd first round, Muma third round, the next year Ventrell Miller fourth round. That's a lot of investment. But if something doesn't go right there, well, one of the three better work.
You'd hope so. Yes.
I mean, something better work
Yes.
if you're going to invest that kind of capital in that room. Let's take a time out. We're live at the Best Bet St. Augustine down here, and good to be with you on a Tuesday as the Jags hit the practice field. They'll get off the practice field very shortly. Press Taylor talked today. What did he have to say about you going down to the sideline and calling plays from their different viewpoint? Also, some of his thoughts on the joint practices and other things. And we'll visit with some other players that maybe you haven't heard too much about, including Breland Speaks. We have a conversation with Stuart Weber and the UFL Defensive Player of the Year. That's still on the way here on the show. After the game today at 2 o'clock, it's going to be Marty Lee along with Kevin Sullivan and Josh Baker. 2 o'clock replays at 6 o'clock and back again on Friday. And we also put it up on YouTube once today's show runs, so it will premiere there on a playlist with all the other episodes of our high school coaches. If you haven't checked it out, it's a great time to do it. High school football season starts this week for real in Georgia. Kickoff classics here in Northeast Florida. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jag Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Right now, get 10% off any residential job of $500 or more. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
At Southampton, local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the Pro Shop. They'll fit you up and to get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to String Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to String Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Well, there's a look at Everbank Stadium. Again, 7:30 kick this weekend. A little pushback than last week, and maybe that's better. A little cooler.
Yeah.
7 o'clock pregame show for us on Countdown to Kickoff, and then we'll have a postgame show as well. So it's pretty much similar lineup, just pushed back a half hour as last week on CBS 47. We'll have all the coverage. And for anybody out of town or for folks watching here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, you can see the pre- and post-game show. And I know Stuart tweeted about this the other day, but we get a lot of people that ask about some of the shows and can we see it if we're out of town. A lot of times that's very difficult to do. But one thing with this new Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, we can do that. We can play it live. We can't repeat the show because of some NFL rules and things like that. But even All Access, I don't know, All Access I think is, but Jags Report Live and some other shows that we do during the season, you'll be able to see on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, which is pretty cool. So ActionNewsJacks.com, Action News Jacks app, Action News Jacks Now if you're on Roku, Google TV, Apple TV, Vizio, all the rest. Easy way to find us now with this new network, which is part of the fun of it as we beef up football season even more than ever before. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby back in the Action Sports Jacks studios. Hamby with us on back-to-back days. Hamby's going to be with us for he's going to start a consecutive day streak.
It will be quickly erupted, but that's true.
Yeah.
Consistency is key, Hamby. It's good to have you for 2 days in a row.
Calling you Cal Ripken.
Shoot, man. I got I think 2,000 and change to go before I hit his mark.
Yeah, we go for 2 is a big deal for us, to be honest with you. And maybe we'll go. We'll see if we can get to 20. 20 would be something.
Now we're talking.
At least over the next few weeks, we should be able to get Hamby in the mix. Hamby was a little rusty today on the remote shot. He hadn't done it in a while.
Been a little bit trying to get his groove back.
You got to get back.
Had been.
Back in the saddle.
Hamby, are we looking at a possible resurrection of your Atlanta Braves now after their big win, their big dominating 1-0 win last night in extra innings? You feeling better against the Giants, or is it just it's just a matter of time?
Let me say this. Didn't watch.
Oh, wow. Didn't watch, man. He's definitely done.
You're definitely
That dude took a pillow and just smothered him and said, I'm done with y'all. Wow.
I woke up a little later today, 4:30 in the morning, and saw the notification. That's nice. Put that thing up. Haven't checked it. I know Sale pitched. I don't know how we scored. I don't know nothing. Until we win about 5, 6, 7 more in a row, I'm good.
Shout out to Hamby, man, for committing to the bit.
I did say he's committed with a 1-0 win. Wow, that was a great pitching performance. I saw the White Sox beat the Yankees 12-2. I was like, wow, they got 4 wins all year. And
Don't call it a comeback. Don't call it a comeback yet. They're making a run, everybody.
And I was just saying this about camp. Do you guys get the sense that even big league baseball. Everything else is kind of quiet. College football is it's a little quiet this time of year. Usually, I feel like there's more buzz about Major League Baseball. What's going on? I don't feel like there are transcendent storylines happening. The best race we have is basically the O's and the Yankees, which is a very good race. Mm-hmm. But what does, one of the problems with the wild card is it takes away a little bit of the value of that race because, both teams are most likely going to make it. Mm-hmm. You have teams like the Braves and the Mets who are battling for a third wild card spot, which, okay, that's intriguing, but it's almost like a limping fight to the finish at this point. There's still a lot of baseball to be played. There's 38 games or something, but it just doesn't feel, I don't know. Am I missing it? Because now I'm kind of locked into football, or is there really just not a lot? And the Olympics, again, might do this a bit. The NASCAR world shut down for a couple weeks. Golf wasn't going against the Olympics. So maybe it was a little bit of that, an every 4-year thing. I just don't feel like the sports headline world is popping right now the way it feels like it normally does.
Yeah, I feel like the only headlines I've really seen in the sports world are more Olympic-based than anything.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the Olympics did take a little away from every other sport. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, even the NFL, which is it's just an around-the-clock, mm-hmm. It seems like headline-driven world. The Aiyuk story is a little bit tired.
Oh, it's been going on for a while,
It's been going on for a bit. And the Reddick thing's interesting, popping out of New York, of course. But there's, what else?
But it's what do you expect? It's like training camp, and
just feels like there's
thankfully,
something.
Yeah, but usually that's something during training camp as some major player gets hurt, and we haven't got to that point yet.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
Yeah,
CD's probably the biggest
you don't want
story.
that to happen.
It's because Jerry Jones won't kind of, the social media stuff. It's just that's kind of all we got to go back to is Aiyuk, and then every other day Jerry Jones or CD will do something, and that's it.
Didn't there was a recent report that they offered him $134 million?
Yeah, I saw that.
Maybe, yeah.
And
that dude wants to be the highest paid.
Yeah, see, what's interesting about the Jerry Jones CD Lamb thing is every time he's come out and said I'm not paying a guy, he pays the guy.
Well, yeah, but I think after Ezekiel Elliott, who now is back in Dallas, which is so funny, I think after he paid Zeke all that money, he's I'm not paying anybody anything anytime soon.
But he did with Diggs, too. Didn't he say something similar before he paid Judon Diggs?
But also go ahead and pay Dak Prescott while you're at it, too, huh?
Yeah, there's a
maybe pay your quarterback, or I don't know.
That one's hanging over just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
poor Dak is the ultimate team guy. I'll get paid when I get paid. It's all good. Dude, look at your stats last year. You're your stats say you maybe were a top 5 quarterback last year, and you're just I'll get paid when I get paid. It's all good. Gotta protect the star.
I think Dak's one of the most interesting characters probably we've had over the last 15, 20 years because his numbers
really
will say so much.
Interesting numbers wise, not interview wise, Brent, right?
No, yeah, I'm not saying personality. I know I say characters. I'm saying characters in sports.
Okay.
Where the guy does a lot. The guy, he's an awesome guy, first of all.
Sure.
He's a great story as a 4th round pick. He's he's MVP numbers multiple times in his career.
Yep. He went viral for his hip thing that he did. I'm saying he's had
comebacks from a mega injury. The ankle injury was gruesome. Mm-hmm. And yet I had to feel like nobody wants him. Or the Dallas Cowboys don't want him.
Yeah.
Well, you get that feel sometimes that they don't even want him, which I don't know if that's more of an indictment on us and where sports is these days. Or the Cowboys organization as a whole, I don't know, or just because they're such a big, it's like the Yankees and Cowboys can draw those kind of headlines where.
Well, no, I think with any quarterback though, eventually you have to go to the big one. You have to go to a Super Bowl. You can't keep losing in the playoffs. That's to me that's the knock on Dak.
Yeah, I get the knock, but it's what's the alternative? Who do you want?
Brock Purdy. Well, Brock Purdy go to the Super Bowl,
I guess, yeah. But so did Jimmy G, and nobody wants him.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I just think he's interesting it doesn't feel like a approval rating, if you will, since we're in the political landscape.
Yeah.
Very good on Dak, and I just think a lot of GMs quietly would be like, heck yeah, man, give me that guy all day.
Man, I mean, if Dak had that like Haason Reddick attitude, that'd be the trending story. Forget politics, like that'd be the trending story for a long time. Is just Dak holding out and Dak not trying to. But like I said, he's the ultimate team guy, and that's a credit to him. And you've seen it in interviews, like he's kind of a team first dude.
Yeah,
and like again, he's made a lot of money, so like don't like make it sound like he's living off boot stamps or anything, but he deserves to get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, for the numbers that he's put up.
He's also a guy to me that doesn't fit the circus of Dallas as well. Like he handles it fine, but he doesn't want that. Like he would love to just be chilling out in name your more quiet, like Seattle or something.
Do you think Romo fits the circus? I mean, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
do you think Romo fits that circus when he was there? I mean, I know he dated like Jessica Simpson, and I thought he dated somebody else pretty popular too. But like, he always kind of seemed like a guy's guy than like.
I get it.
Look at me.
I get it. Yeah, I don't know. Like the Romo one's interesting. The Romo, I think you're right about that on Romo, but I think he did have like the star-studded glitz and glamour side to him, and I think part of that was because you didn't know Romo was a star until like almost years went by. It felt like because he really wasn't. Was he out of Eastern Illinois? Didn't he come from Eastern Illinois?
Eastern Illinois, correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so he felt like a guy at times living his 15 minutes of fame. That he's just like, all right, man, let's soak this all in.
Yeah,
right?
but dude put up some huge numbers though too.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on. I'm mixed on the Tony Romo side of it. Like to me, Eli Manning never totally fit in New York. Like he was not a New York guy, but he made it work.
Well, but no, he was a New York guy when he wanted to become a New York guy. Like when you choose not to go to the Chargers and you throw a fit and say I'm going to like someplace else, that kind of gave you a little more like, okay, maybe you are a little bit of a New York guy.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point actually. Yeah, that's fair. And but you do personality wise, you wonder if he would have been better off in San Diego.
True. I mean, it's one of the age old questions where if Eli would have went to San Diego, would they have won a Super Bowl? And I mean, obviously, hindsight's 2020. We'll never know, but you can make an argument, maybe. But I don't know. I mean, let me ask you this: would you rather have Philip Rivers or Eli Manning?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
Hamby, what do you got?
Philip Rivers.
And no Kirk Cousins isn't an option. Sorry, dude.
I honestly
think Phil was the Kirk Cousins of the 2010s.
He was.
I liked him. I tried to get him in fantasy every year.
Couldn't just lay off. Guy couldn't help himself.
I loved Phil Rivers.
Guy couldn't help himself.
That's actually a good comp because he's got a little like attitude to him. Like
yeah.
What is it? How do you like that?
You like that?
You like that? Whatever.
You like that, baby? Whatever.
And
yeah.
Phil
Who was it?
Rivers is a
Yannick?
major trash talker.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was Yannick when he
told like an 80-yard touchdown. He told Yannick not to like.
And then Yannick is just, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
a good comp right there. Now so you play both ways on it. Does Philip Rivers win in New York? Does he win the Super Bowl? Because here's what I say about your Eli Manning question. I would say no. And my problem with that is San Diego's organization. Like, I think it's more of an organizational thing in San Diego. I think they always had some issues. Cheaper owner, those kind of things. Like, it just didn't feel as important as it should have been. And people might say that about a lot of different places. At times, maybe it was Jacksonville. People would say that about, or Cleveland, or a Buffalo, whatever. For teams that lost a lot. San Diego, very competitive, always a lot of really good players, but it's almost like they didn't mean enough. Did it matter enough? And so I'm not sure the organization would have put Eli in the position that the Giants put Eli in those couple of times. And, of course, with Coughlin, who was able to get the most out of those teams, even though there was a lot of mediocrity in there, too. I mean, almost every time he would go win a Super Bowl, Eli and Coughlin, it showed their competitive nature because they were on the hot seat like every time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's a great question. I don't think he would have won a Super Bowl in San Diego, but I also don't know if Rivers would have won one in New York.
So then let's answer the question then. If you had to build a team with one quarterback, you taking Philip Rivers, you taking Eli Manning. Hamby, what do you got?
I'm going to take. Golly, regular season. Fantasy quarterback. I'm taking Phillip.
I'm just
if
saying,
I got to win games, I'm taking Eli.
I'm just saying, building the team, man.
I'll take Eli.
See, I don't know why I lean towards Phillip Rivers more. And like I don't have the numbers.
Get it
and,
done, though.
It's not all. It ain't about the numbers though either. Like it's. Yeah,
His
for some
numbers were
reason
probably
I
better.
lead, even though. Yeah, and even though Eli's got the Super Bowls to match, for some reason I find myself leaning more towards Phillip Rivers. But like I don't know what their playoff numbers look like. But off the get-go, I lean towards Phillip.
I think I'm taking Eli.
Yeah.
I just don't think you win the way they won without a little something extra. I think the consistency of Phillip was really good. I think some of the numbers, certainly, it's a great comp. You can pick either one. But I think Eli, I think there's something about the winning pedigree of maybe the Manning family or something
Sure,
like that.
but
Maybe
Eli
the
also had
difference
one of the
maker.
best like he had a great defensive line that had his back too.
Listen, Phillip had some really good football players over the years too with him.
Sure.
I mean, not to say the Giants didn't. Both were set up nice. Both had very good careers. Both are like Hall of Famers or borderline Hall of Famers. So obviously they were surrounded with good players and had good stuff. And I think it's kind of to each their own. My guess is inside the building, leadership-wise, either competitive nature-wise, pedigree, I don't know what the difference is, but there is a little bit of a difference between Eli and Phillip to get them over that hump. And I don't put everything on the quarterback there. Listen, I love Dan Marino growing up. You think that Dan Marino had everything that it took to win a Super Bowl, in my opinion. He never won one. So this isn't like a super knock on Phillip Rivers. I just think when you're beating Brady and Belichick, Phillip Rivers would have never, in my opinion, beaten Brady and Belichick.
Yeah, but Nick Foles also beat Brady and Belichick too, so let's pump the brakes a little bit. And if Dan Marino would have stopped doing Ace Ventura movies and been all Hollywood, man, he would have focused on football a little more.
The isotoners.
Oh, the isotoners?
Hamby doesn't even know what that is.
No idea. I'm locked in here.
All right, I'm trying to check it out, man.
Let me
go ahead and read
quarterbacks.
this.
Manning, 57,000 yards. Rivers, 59,000. Ben Roethlisberger, 56. So Rivers has the most yards. He has the most touchdowns. He has almost the fewest interceptions, 7 more than Big Ben, and the highest completion percentage.
Yeah.
But couldn't win in the playoffs.
Yeah, statistically, obviously, Manning.
I mean, stats do mean something.
Manning's
but
the worst statistically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these other guys were more consistent than Manning, you would say. But it wasn't.
Correct.
But it wasn't like Manning's the Miami Marlins and just popped for 2 years.
No,
I mean, it's better than that overall. So,
but once again, I just think Manning. I mean, I don't know. I don't know Phillip Rivers, all his weapons of what he. I mean, he had LT for a while, right?
he did. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that
Pretty
helps.
good.
I mean, through the Antonio Gates
but I just
over and
remember-
over and over.
Yeah, that's pretty legit too.
And Keenan Allen.
I don't know, man.
Before Herbert.
Hey, let's just stay on this a little bit because I think it ties into Jacksonville, and I've been asked this question a lot, and I think maybe we did this a couple
Mac
weeks
Jones, Trevor Lawrence. Here we go, Brent. Buckle your seatbelts.
Well, I think we think the fit in Jacksonville for Trevor is really good.
Yeah.
And I always bring this up. Like, I think the folks that know him very well said, hey, this is a better fit than if New York would have had him. I also think you maybe asked me this question, would he be okay in New York? And I say yes. I think Eli Manning handled New York fine. I think actually Trevor has some of the qualities that Eli Manning does, maybe even personality-wise and fit-wise. Would Eli have been better in New Orleans or in Atlanta or in Tampa or Jacksonville? Probably. I think it would have been a more comfortable fit for him.
He'd have been fine anywhere, I think.
But, yeah, and I think Trevor's the same way. I think Trevor's such a good CEO that I think he'd be fine anywhere. But it got me. So Trevor's a great fit in Jacksonville, though.
Sure.
It really is a good fit. Think about some of the young quarterbacks in the league right now. Are they good fits? Zach Wilson was a horrible fit in New York. It wasn't just his play.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious Mac Jones wasn't a fit in New England. I don't think because of the area or what it might, you're in the hot seat a lot there too with the Boston media and everything else. I think it was more because of the Belichick and the organization.
When you play a cold weather game with snow and you don't get to throw the ball one time, they may not have the most faith in you.
But
Also,
still won, though.
but with Mac and seeing over the last 2-3 weeks, seeing what he's been like at training camp, and now thinking of how he probably did that, and Bill is standing right there.
Yeah.
That gives me a whole
we talked
new,
about this a couple weeks ago.
whole new perspective on that.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't a great fit. You could tell.
Let me ask,
how about? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, who do you think the most Jacksonville quarterback ever was that played? Is it Bortles or is it Minshew?
Oh,
it's a good question. I think Bortles. I think Bortles more than Minshew.
Oh, this is a good question. I didn't. Yeah. See, because initially I thought let's play Bortles all day. But then the more I think about it, of like what Minshew had to do to get that starting role and like what the story is, like, because I always feel like Jacksonville's kind of an underdog. Like, it's not Miami, it's not Orlando, it's not really even Tampa. Like, we're kind of like, you know, the forgotten city, if you want. I feel like Minshew is kind of the forgotten dude, as opposed to Blake Bortles, who's kind of a front runner. Who
Don't get me wrong, he's a good fit.
So high, but no, Bortles is a fantastic. They're both great fits. I almost lean towards Minshew a little more though. But
what do you say, Abby?
I'm gonna. Well, I mean, shoot, guys, I was so anti Minshew.
Really?
Wow, what a hater!
Couldn't stand it. I honestly, I was a hater.
Really?
Who's this guy?
Why?
Like, my hand is because I couldn't stand. It's almost this. Okay, so hold on. Let me develop this thought in my head. It was almost a Taylor Swift effect for Jacksonville. Okay, all of
so
these
too many people were on board with it.
All of these fans coming out of the woodworks, never watching.
Cool.
And just because he's got jorts and a mustache and carries a thing of Bud Light around into the stadium, just like, I don't care what he looks like. Can he win football games? I didn't think he could. So I was so tired of he had one good game and everybody, the Minshew. I was so anti-Minshew mania. I wanted him out.
Oh my goodness!
I did. I'd never.
Wow. Could you imagine if Hamby was doing our show like when Minshew Mania was going on and we're wearing jean shorts and everything?
I know we had
Hamby would have just walked out.
We had Minshew Mondays. The problem is we started this Minshew Monday thing.
Yeah.
He won the first game of the season.
I know.
Never won again.
Dude, I know. And still, one of the biggest detriments that Minshew Monday that you created was my like UFC picture, like on this like big MMA website, is me rocking the bandana with the shades and like the shortest pair of jean shorts, and like that's like my fighter profile picture. Why they picked that picture over anything, I have no idea. But
that's awesome.
Is there any way that's still up?
We seriously did that.
Oh, it's like just Google, like, if you look up my like fighter profile, you'll see me.
That's great.
I mean, you don't need to put it on. That's fine, Hamby. No, I know what you're trying to do now. No, we're good. We're good.
I'm surprised Hamby's not more of a soccer fan. That's what he sounded like there. It's like, hey, don't touch our sport. We're the diehards. We've been here first. We don't want you guys coming in.
Yeah,
like, but soccer fans.
I didn't mean to sidetrack us with that question, but what you're getting to?
Well, no, that was a good question. I like that, but I was getting to more like the young guys that. So I was going to say Josh Allen. So take Josh Allen, Wyoming guy, plays in the cold, right? Kind of this tough guy. He feels like a Wyoming guy, you're a tough guy.
Yeah.
And fits Buffalo. Like, to me, that's a good fit in Buffalo. Like, I don't think anybody can go to Buffalo now.
No, it takes a certain type of person.
Yeah, I think it does. And
EJ Manuel said, nah, I'm all good.
Now, listen, Anthony Richardson, I'm thinking about, okay, well, he goes to Indy. Indy's pretty... With all due respect, I say it's a nice way, kind of like a vanilla kind of place where it's like, I think you could fit. This is an easy fit. It doesn't take a personality to fit or whatever. I don't think it doesn't jump out at me. Pretty laid back. Now Cleveland could be a little bit different in that respect, right? Like Pittsburgh, Big Ben fit Pittsburgh, tough nosed guy, right? Doesn't want to come like that. Fit the way they played. Give me another young guy. Bryce Young, I don't get a sense for it in Carolina. I think he can hide out there. It doesn't say a lot.
We're talking about current players.
Like, how about Purdy? Like, does Purdy fit San Fran? I don't know. Does he? I'm not sure. Do you have a fit in San Fran?
I mean, I just feel like, and this is going to sound bad, like, I just feel like any quarterback can fit in San Fran.
Probably.
But once again, like, Trey Lance didn't work out, so take that for how you want.
I'll give you a guy. Like, Matthew Stafford, to me, is interesting that he works out in L.A. because he doesn't feel like an L.A. guy to me.
Also, I think Goff, and I get Goff's kind of like that Cali. I think he's from California.
Yeah.
But, like, I think Goff and his story to get to Detroit fits the Lions really well. And Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell does.
But I'm saying, like, them together. Because, like...
Well, the story does.
Yeah.
If he had come out and gone to Detroit, I'm not sure that you.
Oh no, probably not. No, but I mean, for a guy to get traded to be kind of like just like the placeholder until further notice, and then all of a sudden he starts balling out a little bit, and he's kind of the underdog. I mean, that's Detroit to a T.
Yeah, Stroud, you had mentioned. I don't feel like Houston has a fit. I don't know if that's I don't know if you need a certain personality or whatever. And I might be wrong on that.
No,
I just
you're
don't
not wrong.
feel it. There are only some places that you're just, I think, are a better fit than others. Some places don't necessarily have a fit.
I mean, you think Mahomes fits Kansas City? I mean, he does because obviously he wins, but like what we know about Mahomes.
Well, I will say this, like what has transpired with Mahomes in terms of almost like a Hollywood place, he would fit New York and LA better.
Yeah.
Right.
And like even with Kelsey, like I don't know. I mean, as someone who's played in Kansas City, it's still baffling to me. Like and granted, they're popular because they win first and foremost. Like that means something. But like all the Taylor Swift bump, all the Patrick Mahomes bump, like in the Midwest. No.
More than they don't fit Kansas City.
Go get barbecue and call it a day. We're not
I
like
think you're right. That's
movie stars and
That's a good call. So all right, let's take a timeout. We're here live at Best Bet St. Augustine. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane and Jason Hamby talking some quarterback fits. We've got much more to come, including some Press Taylor sound. And don't forget about our Action Sports Shacks Dream 18. It's coming up in just about a month. I better get to work on the Dream 18 as it's Monday at the golf club at Southampton. And hey, Best Bet folks will be there. We're just talking about it, in fact, so they've also been very supportive of that over the years. We appreciate their support and everybody else. Cadillac is our title sponsor, along with Access Golf, and we're going to have a heck of a day on Monday, September 16th, to raise money for North Florida Junior Golf Foundation and St. Michael's Soldiers, so hopefully you can be a part of it on September 16th. We'll be back on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Shacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Shacks and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
First and 10 training camp coming up tonight, 11:15 on CBS 47 Fox 30, presented by Farah and Farah. So we'll have that for you on CBS 47 Fox 30, 11:15, and that'll include some Tayshaun Gibson sound. I was just listening to some of that after practice, and he seems excited to be back here, and must be pretty wild, actually. If you take a guy who was here in 2017, I think he was here through 18 as well and then left, still playing, year 13, and he comes back full circle to get into this mix with Jacksonville. See, the thing about 17, they looked very talented, but I said this last week, you didn't know they were going to pop like they popped. Like, you had no idea. This team, if you're Gibson, you can be like, that team looks pretty good over there, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You want to go. He played in the Super Bowl last year. That makes you thirsty for that. Mm-hmm. He obviously has a suspension, but he wanted to come back and play. And does that mean he's trying to chase down that ring? Is he that thirsty for it? Could he help Jacksonville and be a part of it? Well, now he plays the role of a little bit of the Malik Jacksons and the Calais Campbells and other guys who came in to help the young locker room. He was the young guy.
Yeah.
Now he kind of flips and pays that back a little bit. Very interesting career trajectory, if you will.
Very interesting career trajectory, and obviously you're bringing him in for more just the experience now and the locker room presence for the first 6 games, and this could be maybe why there weren't a lot of teams clamoring, to get Tayshaun Gibson, just because you still got to sit those 6 games, and then that's, it's essentially almost it's 1/3 of the NFL season. So
at his age, though, could be good for down the stretch.
It could be good down the stretch. I mean, for sure. And obviously, like he mentioned a little bit, we were listening to the interview. I mean, there's the off-season work, there's the getting your body acclimated, but there's nothing like that game shape, getting the game experience. And, he'll get some preseason, I'm sure, and he'll get into that. But, it could be an acclimation period when he finally does come back, week 7 or whenever that's going to be, in terms of getting the best out of him.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, his career comes full circle. I mean, maybe it's not full circle because it doesn't go all the way back to Cleveland, but it's kind of that. Again, that arc is very wild, and he played a long season last year in San Fran to go to the Super Bowl. So like, I don't know if that 6 games out is going to hurt him that much. He'll have some juice.
Yeah,
you know, and that's got to be a factor. These are long seasons. Heck, even camp, he misses some of camp, which is probably not a bad thing. Like, at their age, at these guys' age, I think you almost sign up for that. We're seeing a little bit in baseball now where guys kind of sit out through like spring training, and then they might sign on with the team.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
I mean, with a guy like him, like, there's really nothing more he can learn in terms of his skill set. Right now, it's all about just kind of keeping those tools sharp. But it's not like he needs to be there day in and day out because, all right, I got to learn, my back pedal better. Like, he knows what it takes. He knows what he has to do. And now it's, like I said, just kind of sharpening those tools and making sure that they're still ready to go. But getting your body acclimated to get ready for a game, I mean, you need to play in games for that. And unfortunately, he's missing the first 6 of them.
So think about what's changed, though, since Gibson was here. I mean, think about all that. When he was 18 was a disaster, right? And in between, if he's watching from afar, I mean, he's seeing obviously the 19 and 20 also turn into a disaster. They go draft a quarterback, but they got Urban Meyer, disaster. Mm-hmm. And then, by then you're kind of probably lose touch with it. You're not paying attention to Jacksonville that much. But now you come back, you got the Miller Electric Center. You got probably I don't know if he even knows the stadium renovation. I don't know if he's paid attention to that degree. But a guy like Josh Hines-Allen, who was a rookie in 17, is now the $150 million guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
You got the quarterback, which would be one of the, obviously he had Purdy in that offense last year, but this will be one of the best situations for him in his career, playing with a Doug Peterson and a Trevor Lawrence on the other side of the football. So just pretty wild. It must be an interesting experience if you're in Gibson's shoes.
Yeah.
Come back here. 7 years later.
A lot has changed.
It's a little bit. The sun's still out, and it's still hot as heck in training camp.
Yep.
But outside of that, there's been a lot that's different. Speaking of different, you have a good day too, Austin. Boston's at Random Bits. He played again. You're right. He played against Houston. And we're Chicago. He's probably played against the Jags many a times to kind of keep pace a little bit of where he was and stuff. But, this is a defense that I'm starting to compare a little bit to some of the traits of 17. I'm not saying they will be.
Well, I mean, let's see game 1, Brent. Come on now.
I know. Just say the linebacker play and the secondary play that actually Gibson was a part of because Boye had such a good year in 17. That was about it, but 17 was awesome. He actually statistically was better than Jalen Ramsey that year.
Wow.
So are you going to get that kind of play out of second? Probably not. So there's a big difference there. Again, I think it has some traits. It's going to be very difficult to be that good. That was an historic defense for so long. Speaking of new spots and kind of a change of scenery, if you will, Press Taylor goes down to the field and calls the plays from down there. It was kind of interesting to watch both him and Ryan Nielsen roam around the sideline. Most defensive coordinators, I think, since I've been in Jacksonville, have been down there. A lot of offensive coordinators have been too, but Press has been up in the press box the last couple of years. And let's hear from Press Taylor, if we can, Hamby, about that change of scenery and what he saw and how he felt with it on Saturday night.
There's a difference just in terms of what you see. Obviously, up in the box, it's more sterile. It's just a calm environment. You can kind of spread out your call sheet, look around a little bit. And then on the field, there's more emotion that could be involved. Probably not in the preseason game, but in the regular season games, there's a lot more emotion that goes into it. But it's nice to be able to look guys in the eye when they come off, talk to them on the side, go sit next to other coaches as you get going with things and hitting through your next run list. Which that's all stuff we did through the headset. But now just going and having that face-to-face interaction, that's nice as well.
Have you decided where you're going to be yet? Did you like it on the field?
I liked it on the field. We'll probably do it again this week, I assume, and just keep seeing how it goes. It's a work in progress for everybody as coaching staff of, okay, now who's providing down and distance up top? Who am I going to talk to between plays, between series, how we get through things? When coach is over on defense during a defensive drive, how are we getting am I just going to go talk to him directly? Do we wait for him to come back and communicate our thoughts at that point in time? So there's a lot that, as you work through the preseason of who provides what in the communication in the headset that you just continue to work through, and we'll change. Maybe somebody else will do down distance this week as we go and change the order of communication in between drives and things like that. But we're testing a lot of things.
Yeah, I guess these are the best times to test it and see what they're comfortable with. I don't know if it makes a difference, let's be honest. I just think it's interesting that he's making that move, and it's probably a bit different. I think, if you were a play caller, I just ask this question, if you were in that spot, would you feel more comfortable up or down? I can see everything he just said from an organization standpoint. I got this, here in front of me and my sheet, and now you're like, okay, always like this, but you're also getting interrupted maybe because Trevor might come over and talk to you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things from a routine standpoint that you feel comfortable with that you have to now adjust. And this is not, hey, is Press Taylor a good play caller or not? It's just more the operation of how you do it.
So if you're asking me if I was a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator for this situation, and I was calling the plays, would I rather be up in the box or would I rather be on the sidelines? And to me, this is almost like a variable of analytics. Because when we say analytics, it's just basically what we see on paper, and then we make our guesses or our educated, decisions based off those. So when you're in the press box, yes, you can see all the formations, you can see what your opponent's going to be in, you can see the tendencies, you can see all of that, but you lose the feeling. You lose the energy. And I think that's and I've been very adamant about this. Yes, analytics can be good for the game of football, but they don't take into account everything. And what you don't take into account, I feel like, is, and this is once again echoing being in the press box as opposed to being on the sidelines, you don't take into account the energy on the sidelines, the vibe, what players are feeling, what's working, what's not working. So I would be on the sidelines because I trust in analytics, but I'm not an analytical person. I'm more of a guy that wants the feel of the game to kind of make my decisions. And to get that feel of the game, I need to be on the sidelines.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point, by the way. And I can actually give you a little bit of this illustration. For these 3 games and every August, I get to go down on the sideline and be down there in that vantage point. Mm-hmm. And to your point, you miss a lot being up in the press box.
Sure.
Like when I'm up in the press box watching the game, you can't feel any of that. Sometimes you can't even feel the stadium. Yeah. You can't feel the vibe. And a lot of times I'll go out and sit with the fam for a quarter just to even get that. But I like that because you kind of sense what the crowd's doing, what they're talking about. So from my vantage point, I'm more intrigued in that than at the X's and O's, of course, of what's going on the sideline like Press Taylor would be. But I think you're exactly right. When I'm down there, these 3, you see so many other things down on the field when I'm on the sideline these 3 games than you do in the press box. Now, there are some plays that you'll see up in the press box develop.
Yes.
For me, that is helpful when, hey, we're doing a show like this or something else that I might miss. So you're missing something either way. But I agree with you. I think that feel, the one thing I can help everybody with this week and the next couple of weeks that I can't when the regular season comes with is that feel. Hey, I told you, Brian Thomas and Trevor, man, they were right after the one play. They were talking about something. Sure. Now we got to go find out what that something is, but just those little subtle things. And I think from a play caller standpoint, you probably identified some subtle things that really help you do your job better.
And again, technology is better than ever. So in terms of getting those eagle wide views, you can still see those on the sidelines now. But you can't get the feel of the game sitting in the press box. I guess maybe if Oculus wants to invent some kind of headset where you're wearing on the press box, but you're also on the sidelines, and you're it's the VR thing, and you can kind of see Trevor, his body language on the sidelines. Maybe if they want to invent some kind of headset for that, maybe we should go into business, Brent, make some money off that. But until that time, I would rather be on the sideline.
Now, the only thing I would say is we are all different learners and communicators, the way we're comfortable doing things. And so is he going to feel as comfortable, as confident on the sideline without everything all spread out? Is that an adjustment for him to make? Is he just, again, is the way he communicates, is the way he does things better with it all right here on a table than there. And I know that sounds like, yeah, whatever, Brent, you can, well, I mean, some people are different. I mean, if you communicate in your line of work, if I asked you to go do it a different way, it would be a little awkward, right, at first. And so how quick do you get to that? I don't know that part because, I mean, Press seems like a pretty smart guy. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it isn't brain surgery what we're talking about here. So, I mean, he should be able to do it. I get that part. But you also got to be comfortable. In his job, you got to be comfortable. You got to be confident. You got to see it fast. Mm-hmm. You got to react fast. And you got to communicate it. Mm-hmm. So, but I agree with you, man. I don't know if it's going to make him a better play caller. I really don't. But if I had to pick a place that I'd rather be, it would be down there.
Yeah. Now, it's one thing to handle it at home during a preseason. It's another thing to be on the road when the crowd's cheering against you and everything. Like, how could he handle, how will he handle that? Like, I mean, that to me could be a really true test as well. Like, we can sit here and say, yeah, the preseason game went pretty good, I mean, I was focused. I got the energy on the sidelines. That's great. But what happens if you're playing in Kansas City, and it's a playoff game when the crowd, then that could be different.
Which also, in this whole play calling conversation of the year of 2024, this shows you how good, if you're good at it like Doug is, that's a pretty special gift. Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things happening.
Oh, I can barely pick like my fantasy football team without getting too stressed out and like distracted, let alone having to choose from a play sheet on the sidelines with like 100 different calls and after 30 seconds to pick.
It's just you tell there might just be a game where second quarter and you look into like Trevor's eyes like the play call, you're like, you go help him out a little bit, maybe bring back some confidence or take some off him because he's just not locked in or just as got the swagger going like he normally would have or whatever. Just simple things like that. Maybe it's ETN, maybe it's Bigsby, maybe it's Brian Thomas Jr. It could be any of those guys. So I think there is a realness to what you're saying about being down there. This interaction right here is at least important and could be taken into effect even when you're scripting plays and doing plays and calling them out. YB400 says, must see a lot from the sidelines. We scored in the red zone. You know what's interesting is we showed this in the broadcast, and maybe I did not feel like maybe I forget last season, but the Jags corner are scoring, I think, as in totality, because it was like 75%, so field goals and everything else. And Doug goes for it sometimes, so that might have taken away some opportunities, turnovers inside the red zone, other opportunities. I guess I just told me they were last in short yardage, I would have believed you. They were like 7. Isn't as bad as I thought they would be.
Yeah.
But the red, IB's point, seeing them actually score thing. Like, that's a big story. Yeah. You look small.
Yeah.
You look small.
Yeah.
Hey, let's stay with Press Taylor for a minute. We mentioned Brian Thomas's name. How about the big catch? You talk about confidence and just making a play could make a difference. Press Taylor thinks that play can make a difference going into the season for the rookie.
Yeah, I think that catch can go a long way. I mean, I think you saw kind of the energy that he had after the catch, and then what the cool part was our sideline was everybody kind of erupts at that time, and you saw the guys go wild for him, come on the field, give him a high five, all that type of deal. Because we've seen that. Partially, we see that skill set flash all the time. He makes plays here and there. He's done it through spring, done it through camp. And guys are just excited for him. Anytime a rookie comes in,
So that's Press Taylor talking about Brian Thomas Jr., and maybe that catch does go a long way. It was a big catch. Now we'll see if he can kind of stack them up a little bit. I wonder if Brian Thomas Jr. plays how many guys are going to play. I mean, Trevor and some of the old guys I don't think are going to play, but some of the young guys, maybe Thomas played more than the first teamers did the other day, obviously, to go make that catch.
Yep.
So I think you're going to see some of those guys mixed in. It's not like everybody's going to sit Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't sign, seeing Brian Thomas get a couple more reps, just keep getting acclimated and everything. Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, so we'll see. Let's take a time out. Best Bet St. Augustine. We are live once again on a Tuesday. Love coming down here. We'll be here once again later in the month, going right into Labor Day weekend with college football starting up and the NFL on the horizon. This will be a great place to watch on Saturdays and Sundays. Have some fun, have some lunch, have some drinks, play some games. Tell you what, you can stay busy down here at Best Bet St. Augustine, so keep it in mind on the weekends to come in college and NFL football season. We'll take a break, come back, talk more Jags, hear a little bit more from Press Taylor, what happened at practice today, and a good health report on at least one player, and that's a good thing. After the game, coming up at 2 o'clock today, Marty Lee, our guest from First Coast, the legend of the Bucks. Summertime means sizzling sales at Nimnick Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Nimnick never charges above MSRP. You can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. You know I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnick Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnickBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnick is there for you, even on Sundays. Visit the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
It's hard to put a price on comfort, especially when you use that comfort on a daily basis. But if we're going to put a price on it, how does the lowest price guaranteed sound? Furniture Source is going to have the biggest brands, whether it's Ashley, Casper, or Tempur-Pedic, and once again, it's going to be the guaranteed lowest price in Jacksonville. Right now, my friends at Furniture Source are going to give you the ultimate hookup because all month long, they're making their inventory wholesale price. Check out their markdowns up to 50% off. And remember, since it's Furniture Source, you're getting the guaranteed lowest prices in Florida or your money back. Don't have the cash on you right now? It's no worry. Shop endless options to suit your style and budget and enjoy 36 months off with no interest financing. Why use your money when you can use theirs? Whether it's beds, couches, tables, or chairs, Furniture Source is going to have exactly what you're looking for. Shop the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed. Find the location nearest you at FurnitureSourceJacks.com.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, get a free A200 Connecticut reverse osmosis system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Oh man, it is that time. I love being outside, but it is just so hot. Oh my gosh, I cannot be outside. Well, you know, it doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, I've got the perfect solution for you to be able to stay outdoors and not look like this guy.
GW Outdoor Solutions has the solution that will help you create areas of shade with their automated retractable awning. As the summer months inch closer, the high temperatures will be right there too. With GW Outdoor Solutions, go from scorching to cooling in no time with one simple push of a button. These innovative shade solutions not only provide protection from the sun and rain, but also add style and functionality to your home. Let GW Outdoor Solutions transform your backyard into paradise. Check out GWOutdoorLiving.com for your free estimate.
New to town or always been in town, everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza. Some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're going to love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us. And at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations. Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Whoa, super squeezed. For the best bet look on a couple of Saturdays ago, and they had their big extravaganza giving away $30,000 plus in prizes. That was their Fairways to Fortune, and well, somebody with a fortune, and then some with a new golf cart. Mr. O'Shaughnessy was the big winner. There he is, and time to drive away, and that'd be kind of cool. Open those doors and drive that sucker right out of here. Floor it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, is it hard to get in here with this? I guess the door's open all the way.
It was probably there's a will.
Maybe there's like an emergency exit or something you go through.
There's a way.
I got you.
But you do kind of wonder that sometimes. How do they get these things in?
Every dealership that I'm in.
That's right.
I'm sure the same question for Bozard when we go there Friday.
Yeah. They have a good way of doing it.
Yep.
The better question is sometimes how they squeeze them all in. Mm-hmm. I thought I was good at ballet park.
Yeah, it's a skill.
It is pretty good skill.
Well, I feel like nowadays those cars can kind of park themselves anyways.
That's a good point. Maybe some of them do. Brent Martineau Austen Lane live at Best Bet St. Augustine. Jaguars and Bucks practice tomorrow. We were talking about how the league and organizations are really trying to squash fighting. Well, Judon Mayo from the Patriots, this is his quote off Twitter here. If they engage in a fight during joint practice and are a starter, quote, you will play the entire preseason game. And if you are not a starter, you will not play at all. So there's a mandate here coming down from the NFL. Police.
Yeah, you would think there's a mandate because, like, I feel like Gerard Mayo, of all people, of all coaches, would kind of understand the intricacies of fighting.
I would think so. And, here's the thing. I don't know if it's a mandate from the NFL as much as a mandate from the ownership. Like, I'm not paying $200,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe,
that's true.
like, if that's the fine.
Or maybe, like, Robert Kraft said, hey, if it's going to be a fine, it's coming out of your paycheck.
Well, they might have said that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, now these guys are making enough money where that might not matter either, but maybe it does matter.
NFL head coach money is good, but, like, $200,000.
It isn't ownership money.
It's not ownership money.
You have the sound?
Look, you don't fight in a real game. You fight in a real game, you get fined, you get kicked out. It's the same thing here. And look, my message to the players, if you get in a fight out here, if you're a starter, you're going to play the whole preseason game. If you're not a starter, you won't play at all. And so that's kind of my mindset with that.
Oh, there you go. I mean, he does have a decent point there. I mean, if you play like you practice, you don't fight in games.
I'm just glad that I was born when I was.
Yeah, I also wonder.
I'd have been out of the league by now if I was playing. Yeah.
I wonder. I do wonder what constitutes a fight, right? I mean, pushing and shoving is not going to be a big thing. A little extra tussle, but I think they mean blows and swinging helmets, and that's obviously been a thing in the past too.
Yeah.
You get some big brawls at these things. I covered a Jets-Giants one. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Up and all, but well, it was incredible.
And also, Gerard, it does happen in a game sometime too. Just ask Myles Garrett when he went after who was the quarterback?
Mason Rudolph.
Was it Mason Rudolph?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does happen, but to his point, they don't happen it doesn't happen in every game.
Correct.
Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby, and Now, I was thinking of this, that Mayo brings up an interesting point. Like, they feel like they're a mess in New England right now. I don't know how that's going to go. And then I think of the Jets, who kind of are messy at times, like with the whole stuff going on with Reddick or Joe Douglas, but they have a really good football team. And I don't know if I've ever seen a team teetering on the brink of disaster and greatness as much as the Jets, that it feels going into a season. Is Rodgers going to stay healthy? If he is healthy, does he have anything left? Does he have that kind of play left? I think Salah's a really good coach, and the domino here is Salah's either going to be labeled a really good coach or he's going to lose his job. I mean,
You think so?
oh yeah, this year I think they're
Even if Rodgers gets hurt again?
Oh yeah, I think that's a tricky one. If he
Well,
gets hurt,
yeah, but like I'm not going to judge Salah off of last year when you had Zach Wilson who turned out not to be that guy. Like,
yeah, you might not judge him, but we're in New York now.
okay,
We're being judged. I mean, it's been a couple of years, and if they,
I mean, is Brian Dabble on the hot seat?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
He's tied to Daniel Jones, and I think the pressure's on him.
Okay.
But I don't think the Giants have a chance to be great. I think maybe they have a chance to go back to the playoffs, and he can do that. But I think absolutely they miss the playoffs. They go win 5 games or whatever. He's gone. I think Dabble's gone. Dabble. But Salah to me, again, I'm a big fan of Salah. He's here in Jacksonville, super guy. I actually look what he's done with that defense. How can you ignore it? Their defense is legit. He's getting really good play out of players like Quincy Williams and others. I mean, they've built that thing up. The quarterback depends on it, but they brought people in to make sure. Mike Williams, and they got Garrett Wilson. They've got those players. I mean, they have a talented team. And especially in that market where what the Jets have been, I just don't know if I remember a team that was on that had depths of all that. It could either be an epic disaster where everybody's gone, and really even a guy like Aaron Rodgers might fade into the sunset.
sure.
Or they could be raising a Lombardi trophy, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I think you could make the case they're the best team in the AFC on paper.
I mean, I'm going the Chiefs all day, man. But yeah, they're up there.
Let's be honest.
Okay.
On paper, the Chiefs are not as good as the New York Jets.
Yes, they are because they have Patrick Mahomes. They have the best quarterback.
Yeah, I disagree. This has like the feel to. This is what I said in 2017, the AFC Championship game. The Jags had a better team than the New England Patriots.
Okay.
They were better. They had a better team. Like this sheet right here. When you did this, it was a better team.
So then, so you look at every single starter. Do you give more? I mean, do you give more props to certain positions? Like when you say better team on paper, how do you constitute that?
I just think you go position by position. I'd give the edge in more spots
of course,
to the Jags than the Patriots.
But also, I give a big position. Like I look at the quarterback position and say that's the most important position in all of sports. So I give a lot more benefit to the quarterback position as opposed to like a starting center. Like, oh, well, they're the better starting center. So no, like I don't think it's all comparative.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know where that line is, and I totally understand everybody would be picking Kansas City because of that. But I don't think Kansas City's even close, like from a roster construction. So I don't know about close. That may be a little.
I mean, they got a pretty good defense in Kansas City. They got some pretty good players, and Chris Jones. Like they have Quinn Williams there in New York, but like Chris Jones is a pretty good player as well.
But like the thing that was always interesting to me about if we go back to the Jags example with the Patriots is, first of all, they were winning that game, right? And they got some bad breaks in that game to lose that game, honestly. And then Tom Brady did his thing. The next year they go play the Patriots and they kick their ass here in Jacksonville.
Sure.
And it was a pretty similar team. Remember, the Jags started 3-1 that year, and the teams were somewhat similar. And so that game didn't surprise me at all because I thought just the same thing I thought in the AFC Championship game. I was like, this team's better. Yeah, you have Belichick and Brady. Okay, we know that's a monster. That's a monster to beat. But the team is better here in Jacksonville. And obviously in the most important time, it didn't play out. And the next year, it did play out that way. I think the Jets, again, you can make the case. Now, I mean, again, as much as you say Patrick Mahomes, and I think rightfully so, if Aaron Rodgers returns to any kind of form, he closes that gap better than most anybody else in the AFC.
But it's not a certainty. I can sit here and certainly say that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, hands down. I can't sit here and say on paper that Aaron Rodgers is even a top 8, top 9, top 10 quarterback right now.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. If things go well, right?
Sure. Yeah.
For both teams,
Okay.
the Jets win 8 out of 10 times.
Against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Okay.
In
I
my
disagree.
opinion.
Yeah, I disagree.
Abby, jump in on this. Were you on the Chiefs Jets we're using as this example? There are other teams in the AFC, by the way, you can use on this example. I mean, maybe it's Cincinnati Bengals, maybe it's others. But
I mean, the Ravens have a pretty good team.
obviously, the Ravens very good.
Yeah.
So the Ravens, again, I would give the Ravens the nod over the Jets, but I did last year too. and the Chiefs went in and won. Now, I did have a question about if they could get it done in the postseason like that, even in Baltimore. But, yeah, Hammy, is there that much weight on the quarterback position?
I mean, I think I'm still taking I'm taking the Jets roster over the Chiefs, all because I understand Austin's point that the quarterback weighs that much, but I think they well outpace the skill position in the defense. The Jets do, and that doesn't mean that I think they're going to do anything spectacular. I don't know. I think the Jets are the biggest question mark going into the season. It's them and it's the Eagles. And we really don't know. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to be, and if Garrett Wilson has to have help. But, they have certainly got an easier shot this year than they did last year with the Bills unloading their entire roster and the Patriots still not being anywhere close to ready to compete.
How sure are we that the Jets even win the division?
I'm not.
I don't know if I'm not sure, but I think they're the best team in the division. Do you agree with that?
I mean, this is the theoretical game, though. It's like, yeah, if everything goes according to plan for the New York Jets, sure, then they might be. But, like, I can sit here and say, I think the Dolphins are pretty damn good, and I know that Tyreek Hill is good. I know Tua's, serviceable. I know, like, their offense is going to be super dynamic. I can sit here and say, well, yeah, you lost Stephon Diggs in Buffalo, but still have to like them with the Buffalo Bills as well.
Yeah. No,
and I can sit here and say the Patriots are going to be probably pretty bad.
And this is the way the NFL works. I understand that. Like, that you can go in, it might be a 3-point favorite type game, and who knows, Miami could beat them. But especially in this division, Miami's a dangerous team, but it's almost like the Jets have the kryptonite. They got two corners that can actually play out there. And they've got a defense that's really good. Like, they might have the best defense in the league going against a very high-potent offense.
But if we're not putting a premium on how important the quarterback is, then how come the Jets could win last year when Rodgers went down?
No, this can't be black or white here. This isn't a blanket discussion. I'm not telling you I'm not putting a premium on the quarterback position. I'm just telling you where does that line meet that the quarterback position trumps the rest of the roster being better.
And I think that in Super Bowls, and you can say like with Brock Purdy, okay, whatever you think about him, obviously Nick Foles, but I think predominantly in Super Bowls, the Super Bowl winning teams, the teams that go to the Super Bowl, have a pretty dominant quarterback, usually.
Yeah, that's been the case.
Yeah, so I think there is definitely a high premium in terms of how good the quarterback has to be and how important he is to a team, as opposed to just being, he might be top 10. Like, no, if you have the best quarterback in the NFL, that means something.
Yeah, absolutely. It means something. But it doesn't mean on paper that you're better than the other team. Like, I think the Bills were better than the Chiefs on paper. I think the Ravens were I think San Francisco was better than the Chiefs on paper. And that's how much the quarterback did Perel. I'm not telling you it's going to play out that way.
No, but I'm just trying to
tell you those are the better teams.
Okay, but I'm trying to get when you say better. So the Jets are the better linebackers than the Chiefs. They have the better secondary than the Chiefs.
Yep.
They have a better defensive line than the Chiefs.
I think so.
They have a better offensive line than the Chiefs.
That one's questionable.
Okay, they have
running
better.
Backs a wash, and they have better receivers now.
Okay. You mean Mike Williams and
Mike Williams and Garrett Wilson.
Okay. First, the Chiefs have Hollywood.
Rashee Rice.
Lazard's gone, isn't he?
Xavier
I mean, in Kansas City.
Yeah, I would take the Jets receivers.
Okay. Tight end.
Tight end goes to Kansas City.
Okay.
I think the running back's probably a wash.
We keep counting coaching here?
Coaching goes to
I
Kansas
think
City, and
Brees Hall's
quarterback goes to
unreal.
Kansas City. Well, but Pacheco's been very good, so I'm not going to sit there and say they don't have running back,
Sure.
So, and I don't know the offensive lines enough, probably, to know, but...
Well, I mean, the offensive line in New York, it's definitely rebuilt. They've added a lot of pieces, but we haven't seen them play together yet.
Yeah, I think this is... And again, I'm not telling you you're wrong that they can't win. This isn't a conversation of they can't win.
No,
the Super Bowl.
the debate right now is who has the better roster, the Kansas City Chiefs and New York Jets.
And I think the Jets... I think we just went through almost all the positions, and I think the Chiefs have. I give the Chiefs the edge. I used to have this in the newspaper, by the way. They would do this they'd have list 10 things when I was a kid, and they'd give the check mark, right? And even one would be intangibles, and another one would be coaching. I used to love that thing because now we do all analytics and do numbers on that stuff. But I think the quarterback, the coach, and tight end favor the Chiefs. I think everything else.
Well, you just said the running back was a wash.
Yeah, okay, so that's a wash,
Okay.
and everything else favors the well, actually, you could say even special teams maybe favors the Chiefs. They have a good special teams unit. They got Townsend that they brought in.
Highest paid kicker now.
And highest paid kicker. So that would be 4 things on the list, but I think all the other things favor the Jets. I think if you did the same thing with the Ravens, it'd be pretty close. I mean, Lamar Jackson, even at the quarterback, is starting to sneak. Now, I'd give Mahomes, but Lamar Jackson is the MVP. I think San Francisco, you do the same thing, right? The quarterback conversation even starts to shrink based off performance and most recent performance because of the unknown of Aaron Rodgers. San Francisco would have a lot of these boxes checked, and maybe not as much separation between coaching, tight end,
Between San Francisco and
quarterback.
New York Jets?
Yeah, no, so San Francisco and the Chiefs.
Okay. Okay.
Baltimore and the Chiefs. Like the tight end positions get, the separation with the Jets at tight end and the Chiefs is probably here. Separation with the Kansas City and the Niners or Kansas City and the Ravens.
And if you want to talk about, like, if you want to put the tight end in the receiving, like, receivers, you can say, well, then I think it's more comparable between Kansas City and New York.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think, like, regardless what people want to say about Travis Kelce and what the odds say in terms of like his over/under this year on yardage with Taylor Swift and everything, I still think Travis Kelce is a hell of a tight end and a hell of a receiver.
Well, and the bottom line is he was just okay last year until it was time to cook, which is what they did.
Yep.
So, to me, that's why to me they resemble the Patriots so much. Because the Patriots, even in years where their roster did not match up to everybody else's, there was not they had some years where their roster was holy cow. In fact, their best roster was the one they lost to the Giants, probably.
Yeah,
It was actually a Super Bowl they lost. But there are plenty of times, starting all the way back when I first covered the Patriots, and they beat the Rams. That roster of the Rams was way better than the Patriots on paper. That was the greatest show on turf. They even at that point had a coaching and quarterback advantage.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
And it's not the way it turns out, which is a credit to those guys. Belichick, Brady, Mahomes, Reed, and I think you throw Kelce in the mix to be able to do what they did last year. But that's why I think the Jets, I mean, to go really bring this full circle, like the Jets to me are fascinating here because they have that good of a football team. And the Ravens probably have a better one. But I also think the Jets, like the Ravens, we know this. Lamar Jackson, he's going to play next year, regardless of what they do this year. John Harbaugh, he's got a job, no matter what.
Sure.
I think the difference here is the Jets might have a new quarterback, and the Jets might have a new coach if things don't work out the way it could or they expect it to in New York. Hey, Hamby, let's do this. Before we get to Breland Speaks, let's take a timeout as we hit the top of the hour. I didn't know we were going there. I like that conversation. That's a fun one. By the way, I also think the Jags are pretty good on paper. But my biggest problem with the Jags this year, as I keep telling everybody, is everybody else looks pretty good on paper, too.
A lot of teams look good on paper.
That's the thing. There are a lot of good teams in the AFC. When we come back, we'll hear from Breland Speaks. I think he's an interesting guy in all of this. Jags continue to try out these different pass rushers. And, heck, he was here for like 48 hours, and he got in the box score Jags practice done for the day. Tayshaun Gibson, part of the conversation today. We're catching up with DJ Coleman, another guy, number 54, who made some noise. In fact, that's something I want to ask Austin and Hamby is there a guy or several players that on the back end of the roster looked pretty good the other night? And do you have your eyes on them now? Because they probably play a lot more on Saturday as well against the Tampa Bay Bucks. That's next. When we come back, we're live at Best Bet St. Augustine here on a Tuesday on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville.
It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air.
It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com.
Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com. And they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs.
Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket. And while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade.
I say it means something to me, gentlemen. It means something to me.
High school football is back and it's bigger than ever. Welcome to the Friday Night Zone Blitz.
It is bigger than a game.
Watch the biggest games each week live as the action unfolds with instant reaction and analysis from our Hall of Famer, Kevin Sullivan. It starts with live look-ins at the top matchups, including our Jaguars Prep Whataburger Game of the Week. And that is just the beginning of 4 straight hours of coverage. From 8 to 10:30, the Friday Night Zone Blitz is streaming on our Action News Jacks app and online. At 10:30, the Friday Night Blitz you know and love. A half hour of highlights from around the area. 11 o'clock, we shine the spotlight on the bands that pump up the crowd. 11:15, it's time to blitz through the highlights online and on air. Then 11:35, back to the stream to break down the night's results with a reaction from local coaches. 4 straight hours of high school football on the Friday Night Zone Blitz. Only on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence.
You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Springs, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too.
family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Hey, there's our lineup each and every day, and we've got Young and Norvell coming up in just a little bit. Miller and Moulton got us going. They had a bunch of guests on this morning on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Again, you find the Miller and Moulton show right there on ActionNewsJacks.com every morning. The Action News Jacks app, Action News Jacks Now if you're watching from home on Roku, Apple TV, Google TV, and the rest. These shows you can find on social media along with the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. That includes ours, Brent Austen Show, Young and Norvell, coming up today at 4 o'clock. Hey, we've got to mention our friends at Nimnick Buick GMC. I was just over there yesterday. I was in the massage chair, by the way, while I was getting
Nice.
I was getting an oil change.
Okay.
So a couple of massage chair. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah, man, if that's the case, I'm getting my oil change like every 100 miles then. If you can get a massage, I'm getting my oil change.
It was nice and relaxing.
Yeah, man.
Being inside the dealership there at Nimnick Buick GMC. Nobody but Nimnick. Shop online at Nimnick Buick GMC. You know, I could drive the GMC Sierra. They have $10,000 off select GMC Sierras, by the way, and 1.9 APR financing. So check that out. That's good financing right now. Nobody but Nimnick. Nimnick Buick GMC. GMC, we are professional grade. Brent Martineau Austen Lane, Jason Hamby, and one of the topics we had on our show today, find me a back end of the roster player that's caught your attention. One of the things we're doing with Action Sports Jacks this week is we're actually having conversations with a bunch of these guys. After practice, we can request a player. And so a lot of the players you get, marquee names, from the Kirks to the Ingrams to others. Well, this week, we'll try to find some of the guys that maybe will surprise and did surprise the other night or look good the other night. And what if they continue that trend? And kind of ironic because we talked to Tayshaun Gibson. He was an undrafted free agent. Look what he's done with his career. So there are plenty of examples that it can happen. Who's going to be an undrafted free agent to make the roster potentially this year? Not an easy roster to make. The Jags have a bunch of capital invested in draft picks, 13 of them last year, to more draft picks this year, which you're probably going to give the nod to those guys over undrafted free agents, but usually someone will steal the show and figure out a way onto the roster. Who's got your attention, Austin?
I mean, this guy, he got a lot more playing time because of just injuries and everything, but I think he's going to be kind of towards the back end of the depth. But I think he might have had the best game out of anybody. And with all due respect to Parker Washington, I think Terrell Edmonds wasn't as an absolute beast. Had some big hits. I believe he caused 2 fumbles, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that huge.
And once again, we talk about this Ryan Nielsen defense of what Ryan Nielsen's looking for. I think Edmonds checks a lot of those boxes. So to me, Terrell Edmonds really stuck out. Honorable mention going to Abdullah as well at the edge. Had his sack and everything, was kind of flying around a little bit. But yeah, I'm going Terrell Edmonds all day.
How important, and you've lived this world, how important is it to make a splash play? Now, see, there's a lot of other things. You take a guy like Abdullah. I don't fully know how he played in the game, but he makes a splash play. He follows the guy. He was kind of you could say it was a cleanup sack, but that's pursuit. They want to be able to see that. He got some help from some of his friends, of course, but he was able to finish off that sack. So to me, it's splash play. I agree with you. How did he play the rest of it? I don't know. So how important is the splash play?
Well, the splash play is important, but you combine the splash play with plays where it's like, what are you doing? Like, what'd you do that for? We weren't really asking a lot from those two guys, especially Terrell. I mean, I felt like Terrell Edmonds was in the right spot at the right time every single rep that he got. I was never like, oh, like he shouldn't, I just think that, and this is a guy with experience too. It's not like he's a rookie or anything, so he's played a lot of football, so he knows what he's doing. But
first-round pick.
Yeah,
right.
But I think from what you saw from him, granted, is maybe against, lesser competition, doesn't really matter. I thought he had a hell of a game.
All right, Hamby, what about you?
All right, I will take Esezi Odamewu.
Oh, you just wanted to say his name.
Odamewu, sorry.
Nope. You had it the first time.
You had it the first time.
See, when you backtrack, then you start questioning it.
Here's the deal. Nobody else knows. So just
Odo.
say it fast.
I'm
and say
taking
it with
Odo.
confidence,
Well,
Andy.
maybe
I'm taking Odo.
maybe his wife or like family are listening.
All right, but I mean, nobody listens. They're not. They might.
Oh, nobody listens. Okay.
No, I mean, nobody listening knows.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, no, I'm saying maybe his
Oh, you
family
think
is
his family's
listening.
listening. Well,
Yeah, man.
now they are.
Yeah, maybe
Now
they're
they
listening.
hate the show and just turned it off.
Yeah. Yep. And they go the rating.
No problem.
Probably
I'll
had a
take
big
him.
family too. But anyway,
Yeah,
sorry,
he
Hammy, go
probably
ahead.
does. First year with the Jags, played 1 year with the Vikings. He made a lot of plays in Saturday night's game. I think he was in the backfield, it looked like 3 or 4 times. Had a couple of tackles. I know he had at least 1 sack. I don't know if they're giving him any credit for another, but he was in there. He also had a tackle for loss. So, and he played seemingly early in the game, which I think helps his cause, because I think if we're trying to guess, and I know it's real early, if we're trying to guess, we would go more off of when these guys played against more than we would go off the depth chart right now. And Odo was in there in the first quarter. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe he was in there somewhat into the third. But he was in there in the first.
I think he was.
Which means he's towards the front, handing the dirt guy. Could he be right behind Roy? Not sure. I think a lot of his roster ability, if that's a word, will be based off of how much.
I don't think it is.
How much they
I'm
trust.
not mad at that.
How much they trust the 2 rookies from LSU, Jefferson and Mason Smith. And we know that those guys are going to make the roster because you spent a 2nd and a 4th round pick on them. But if the Jags feel handcuffed and that they don't trust those guys, but they have to roster them for the future, Odo could be a good guy to be in the mix.
Man, I just wish now that looking back at my career, John Fox would have told me my last time getting cut from the Bears, you just would have said, Austin, you just don't have the roster ability that we're looking for right now. Would have been a lot easier as opposed to, you know what, you're just a little too old to go in a younger direction. Okay, sir, I'm 25 years old, but you got it.
Is that what he said?
Roster ability was just not there.
I think I was like 26 or something, but yeah, that's what he said. It's too old.
That was the day he got that news twice.
Oh no, that was before.
That was different.
That was the Mark Trestman era, and then no, you're fine. Then it came back for the John Fox era. Really saw a lot of peak times in Chicago with eras.
What would have been wild is if you got the news twice in one day, and they'd already changed codes.
Dude, the way that organization was going, Brent, I'm surprised that didn't happen. Honestly, they had some rough times.
I like your Odomewo as a good pick there, and I like what you're saying about Edmonds. Edmonds caught my attention so much that that's why I was a little bit surprised on the Gibson stuff. It's like he's coming off a big game.
I know.
He played really well to go well with everything else, like the Dewey stuff and Antonio Johnson. But it's like, okay, well, if something does falter here, this guy just played really well.
Yeah.
So why do you need to go get another player? But they have their reasons. But that's one of the reasons it was surprising to me is because coming off a very good game by Edmonds. All right, I think you can go a couple different ways here. In fact, I think you could go bigger names where people out there might say, hey, Brent, what about Christian Braswell? Because to be honest with you, until the depth chart came out on Wednesday, he was the back end of the roster guy. I think in many respects. And then they have number 1 on the depth chart. But then he performed like it. Like he really performed well. So now all of a sudden I think he kind of gets out of the scope in our minds of a player that we're talking about here. It's tough to be a draft pick and have this conversation about a draft pick too. So my guy is DJ Coleman.
Yeah.
And this is the guy we talked to today. I requested him and Marcel did the interview with him. But I feel like I've seen 54 in a lot of places. And that's kind of how I do it. Now, I have no idea if that is always a good thing. You could be in a wrong spot, and I can still see you.
Yeah.
But I thought 54 was all over the place. I also think Coleman is a guy now with the injury to Dixon that thing's pretty wide open. That 4th, 5th, really 5th pass rush spot, if there is room for that. I think Gibson kind of has the 4th lockdown if you want to include Armstead as the 3rd guy, which the Jags are kind of doing. But I don't really – I mean, we're going to learn a little bit more about DJ Coleman.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's not catching attention. He probably is. Got a lot of playing time the other night, too. So watch number 54. He I think, has a real chance to make this roster.
No, it's one of the benefits of having a swaggerless number on the defensive line, 54, and you're playing on the line. You're going to stand out a little more. So I hope if he does make the team, he changes that number. But who knows? Maybe it's significant, but I assume that it's kind of threw it at him and said, all right, good luck with that number.
Yeah. By the way, he's out of Missouri. Second-year guy out of Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, I took this question as more doesn't matter where you're drafted or what.
Yeah, that's okay.
I mean, it's just more of where you're on the depth chart.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we wonder if Edmonds is going to be on the roster. Right? Yeah, wonder if a guy like Coleman's going to be on the roster.
I think with what Edmonds did, he's making the case. But would you say that's probably the deepest?
Well,
safety. Well, now with Gibson too.
Well, it's interesting. Going into the year, I thought it was maybe their weakest spot. Now, did they have bodies that you knew? Yes. But were they dynamic there? They basically, if you go into the year, and a little bit of this is Darnell Savage, I'm viewing as a corner at the time.
Okay.
The nickel corner. But if you view him as a nickel corner, just come with me for a second, then I think you have Cisco and you feel good about it, and then Antonio Johnson was a little bit of a question mark, but you're going to plug him in. And then you have Dewey, who obviously has made plays and he's a good special teamer, but he's never going to be an all-pro, I don't think.
Yeah.
And then you had Daniel Thomas, who, again, special team worthy, but I don't know how great he is in the safety spot. He's obviously got some experience. So I think you could actually make the case that that was one of their thinnest positions.
Sure.
Now, the names we knew, but I don't know how good the games were. There were too many unknowns to know. Now you sit here and you're like, okay, Edmonds, that's not only a name we know, but we just saw it play out. We know Gibson can play in the league. You like the Amos, who they brought in, Hamby, who's a 10-year guy, right, who's got a lot of experience in the league. And then the fact that you now say Savage, is he going to play there? Can he play there? He's listed on the depth chart back there.
Yes.
So,
and they got that Flowers guy who
you're right. The depth has grown. And Flowers.
They put out a corner, but he spent time at safety too in training camp. He's that 6'3" dude who's gigantic.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, really one of the only guys that didn't pop, at least to me, and maybe played well, and I just didn't see it, was Hallett. Of the guys that they brought in last year.
Yeah.
To make a play. But remember, yesterday I went through all the draft picks of the 2023 class. Hallett was a guy that was in that.
Yeah.
But he didn't really, to me, he didn't do anything, at least that I noticed. Maybe they noticed a little bit more. I'm just saying my eyes didn't notice it. So, yeah, it's fascinating. It's a good question. From where they were, let's just say in June, to where they are now at that safety spot, I would say it's a hell of a lot deeper.
Yeah, for sure.
But I still wonder if better name than game.
Well, I mean, it's definitely the names. I mean, hopefully the cream does rise to the top here, but I just think in terms of overall depth of options where you could go with, I mean, I think with the emergence of Edmonds now, and we'll see what the plan will be with Gibson, there's a lot of ways you could go with the secondary and the safety spot.
All right, so there's another one out there that we didn't mention, but we're going to hear from him right now. Stuart Weber caught up with Breland Speaks, and this is a fascinating story. A guy out of UFL was Defensive Player of the Year. He's got numbers. If you like production, a guy that actually produced and has produced, well, this could be your guy. I just think it's fascinating that he came in middle of last week, gets thrown in the game, and he's already in the box score. He's back there for a sack. So maybe just guys who produce. And we're seeing some of the UFL guys get signed around the National Football League. And the Jaguars took a chance on Breland Speaks, and he spoke to Stuart Weber this week.
Catching up with Jaguars defensive lineman Breland Speaks. And Breland, it was a hot one today. We could still see the sweat on you, even with moving indoors. Just the conditions. This is good for the team, right? Because there's a lot of 1 o'clock games on an NFL schedule.
Definitely. I was talking to somebody. I was like, hey, Jacksonville mess around and get that top seed in the AFC, man. Hey, this is definitely advantage if guys got to come down here and play in this.
For you, a little bit of a battle today, but I like to think that that's a growth opportunity, right? A chance to work through it and to show the staff that, yeah, you can handle when some adversity comes your way.
Definitely. Today was actually my first practice. Everything else been kind of walkthroughs, and then we had the game. But today was definitely a wake-up call for me just to make sure I'm doing the things necessary. But all in all, it's good, man. I just want to show guys that, hey, at the end of the day, I'm not a quitter. That isn't in my DNA. And I'm going to keep going regardless of what's going on.
Talk to me about Saturday night's experience. You've been in camps, you've been on NFL rosters, but this is your first chance with Jacksonville to go out there and showcase it with a live game.
Yeah, it was special for me, man. Definitely getting another opportunity to show what I can do at the highest level. Really, I felt pleased with my performance. Felt like I could do a couple more things better, but all in all, felt pretty good about Saturday. Being signed on Wednesday, coming right in and being able to play and get a sack. So, hey, it was fun for me.
Sacking guys is something you've done a lot of over the last couple of years, right? Both in the USFL and UFL. Those traits and those skills that you have translate right over to the NFL game. I think that's one of the differences between if you were an arena guy or a CFL guy where the rules are slightly different. Talk to me about just using that same skill set that you've developed over a lengthy pro career now to get after the quarterback.
Just always have wanted to be better with my hands. I always wanted to have a clean technique, have always been a bigger end. So when I throw moves, they have to be a little bit more calculated and I have to be more violent. So really just understanding the tackle set, how they're trying to block me, what they're trying to do to me, and me just with that experience you were talking about, seeing things for over these years, I'm knowing how to adjust on the fly and do what I need to do.
One of the big question marks that we've had with this Jags defensive line, yes, you've got two of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Where do the sacks come after that? That's always the question. How much do Josh and Trayvon really coach up the rest of the group and keep the whole group involved, knowing that, in the NFL, two guys aren't going to do it. It's got to be waves upon waves.
Oh, those two guys, they put everybody first. They both are leaders, man. They always asking me if there's anything they can help me with. I always ask everybody if there's anything that they can help us with. If we have questions, just come to them. But those guys definitely, to be two of the best players that we have on the team, they're still down to earth, willing to talk, willing to share whatever guidance they can. And even I'm still learning to this day from guys like that. So I'm really just appreciative of those two guys.
So Ryan Nielsen, he is the defensive coordinator. I'm pretty sure his favorite position group is the defensive line. He's always hanging out with you guys. He's always working with you guys one-on-one. Does he tell you guys that you're his favorites?
I think we know. It's one of the things where he doesn't have to tell us. I think it's felt in the room. So definitely happy to be in his room this year and be able to be coached by him.
Last one for you, a little off the football. You just got here. Initial impressions of Jacksonville? Have you had a fun moment? Have you gotten to go to the beach? Have you been able to take a breath even?
Nah. It's kind of just been in my iPad at the hotel or up here at the facility, man. And that's kind of how I want to keep it. Really just focusing on making this team. And, hey, we make this team, we can go experience some of the beach and all of that other stuff, but we got to put the work in first.
That's Breland Speaks, former Ole Miss Rebel, of course. And this isn't like a super young guy. He's been around the block. I mean, he was a second-round pick in 2018.
Yeah.
So to see him still on this journey is pretty wild. That heat got him yesterday. He had to be helped off the field a little bit, but then he went back in. So look at the journey of this guy, man. The second-round pick in 18 of the Chiefs. So he stays with the Chiefs for a couple years, actually wins the Super Bowl. Then he goes to the Raiders, then the Cowboys, the Giants, back to the Cowboys, the Bills, the Michigan Panthers of the USFL, San Francisco 49ers, Michigan Panthers.
Come on.
I'm sorry, that would have been, is that the USFL or the UFL? That would be UFL. And now the Jags. So, and he's the sacks leader in the USFL in 2023, and he's the defensive player of the year in the UFL in 2024.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
What a wild journey. Now, can he play at this level is the question.
We'll tell, yeah, time will tell.
He's got 1.5 sacks in his NFL career.
Okay.
So,
listen, a lot of guys, and probably including me in that position, probably would have just said, all right, it's time to do something else, but this dude has stuck with it and obviously has aspirations to play at the highest level. So you can't knock the tenacity, the stick-to-itiveness for him just to say, I'm gonna ride this out till the wheels essentially fall off. So props to him for staying at it, man. It says a lot about his character.
Yeah, I want to see real quick how big he is. He's 6'3", 285.
Okay.
So he looked kind of long there, didn't he?
Yeah,
More
yeah.
lean and long, but 6'3" will do that. So, I don't know where he fits, but he's just another guy to watch.
Keep doing your thing, man. Yeah.
Next couple of days. Again, that's a position we started to show up a little bit. They brought in a bunch of different guys in that spot to kind of compete for the back end to try to get that fifth spot or fourth spot or push. Right now, it really looks like you've got 4 pass rushers, and then what? You've got Josh, you've got Trayvon, you've got Eric Armstead, and you've got Travis Gibson. After that, it's a mystery, and they're trying a bunch of guys out right there. Let's take a time out. A motivational speech that, I don't know, did it go the wrong way or was it really good?
It's what you
Can't
get.
wait for the opinion on this when we come back on the Brent Austen Show. We're live at Best Bet St. Augustine here on a Tuesday. And don't forget, if looking for some lunch or dinner even tonight, go to Donato's Pizza, Donatos.com, and Jack's Beach in Mandarin. Brent 20 the code if you want to save 20%. Why wouldn't you want to save 20% off your order at Donato's Pizza?
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
On the big screens, it's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Oh man, it is that time. I love being outside, but it is just so hot. Oh my gosh, I cannot be outside. Well, you know, it doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, I've got the perfect solution for you to be able to stay outdoors and not look like this guy.
GW Outdoor Solutions has the solution that will help you create areas of shade with their automated retractable awning. As the summer months inch closer, the high temperatures will be right there too. With GW Outdoor Solutions, go from scorching to cooling in no time with one simple push of a button. These innovative shade solutions not only provide protection from the sun and rain, but also add style and functionality to your home. Let GW Outdoor Solutions transform your backyard into paradise. Check out GWOutdoorLiving.com for your free estimate.
Summertime means sizzling sales at Nimnick Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Nimnick never charges above MSRP. You can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%.
You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnick Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out
those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at nimnickbuickgmc.com. And while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnick is there for you, even on Sundays. Visit the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
It's hard to put a price on comfort, especially when you use that comfort on a daily basis. But if you were going to put a price on it, how does the lowest price guaranteed sound? Furniture Source is going to have the biggest brands, whether it's Ashley, Casper, or Tempur-Pedic, and once again, it's going to be the guaranteed lowest price in Jacksonville. Right now, my friends at Furniture Source are going to give you the ultimate hookup because all month long, they're making their inventory wholesale price. Check out their markdowns up to 50% off. And remember, since it's Furniture Source, you're getting the guaranteed lowest prices in Florida or your money back. Don't have the cash on you right now? It's no worry. Shop endless options to suit your style and budget and enjoy 36 months off with no interest financing. Why use your money when you can use theirs? Whether it's beds, couches, tables, or chairs, Furniture Source is going to have exactly what you're looking for. Shop the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed. Find the location nearest you at FurnitureSourceJacks.com.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach.
Welcome back to the Brent Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Hey, First and 10 training camp coming up, of course, tonight, 11:15 on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Brent Martineau Austen Lane back at Best Bet St. Augustine here on a Tuesday as we get ready for joint practices. And they should be pretty fun. I think I might go out there and miss the early part of the show tomorrow. The schedule is kind of goofy with the Jags. Yeah, I don't get out to a lot of practices because of the show and the new time change, which isn't really new anymore, but new since last football season for me. But I think I might pop out there for a little bit tomorrow and maybe even do a report and then come back in studio and join you. Still working on that tomorrow and trying to get out there to see the Bucs and the Jags. And my guess is those bleachers will be pretty filled up to see those joint practices on Wednesday and Thursday. Although that it could be interesting too because kids are back in school now.
Yeah.
So since school's back, I'm sure the crowds aren't as great. Brent, Austin, Jason, Hamby, and speaking of joint practices, why not hear from Press Taylor a little bit and what they're going to try to accomplish during these joint practices. Here's the Jaguars offensive coordinator.
Joint practice is a really good opportunity for us to put our quarterback in a lot of situations without exposing him to taking hits. So we can work a lot of third and long type things that you may have to hold the ball. We can introduce some new concepts that we've been trying to invest in a lot through camp that now we get a new defense to test them against, but maybe we don't want them out there to the world yet, and we're still working through some things. And then I think as far as reps with those guys in the game, I think there's a good chance, however it sorts out, and coach will make the final decision on it, I think there's a good chance you probably see those guys play a little bit more than you did the other day at least. I think a big part of it is for us, we want our guys to see guys that they haven't played against a lot. You know, you start to get, you get a derby against Brian Thomas so many times. They have a good feel for each other. You know, there's less risk involved from both sides of what we're trying to do here. They know it. We know it. We're trying something different. You tend to play a little bit differently. So it amps up the competitiveness. It amps up kind of the unknown, which is the cool part. That's football for us. But there's still a protected environment, which is a good thing. But I think for us too, as the offensive staff, there's a lot of things we want to see if they're good, see if we're good at these certain things. Maybe we need to see a new scheme to test some of them. We're trying to build tapes and learn about it and teach it for our guys as we get into this stuff. So there's a lot to learn. I really enjoy it. I think we get a lot out of it. And again, it's who you're working with and the environment they have on their staff and the way they work and what you're getting out of it. But I think it would be a great experience.
Well, that's Press Taylor talking about joint practices. I think you do get a lot out of these. I'm a fan of the joint practices, maybe even at times more than the preseason games. You know you're going to sit your guys in one preseason game anyway. Yeah. And the way it's shaped up now with 3, and you have that big layoff between game 3 and the regular season, it does make sense to actually play your guys in game 3, which is the one where you never used to play anybody. But I always find it interesting that you have to find – or you think you should find a dance partner in the joint practices that is trying to get a similar thing accomplished. Like Marone and the Jags went up to New England the one year, and it kind of comes off that tree, Coughlin, like all that makes some sense to me. What I thought was interesting is the marriage between Detroit and the Jags last year.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if that's tree coordinated or stylistically, I don't feel they're a lot alike. But maybe the way they view the game and see the game. Dan Campbell's a former player, Doug Peterson, former player, obviously.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what makes up the good dance partner. You got to have it on their schedule too. So I mean, it doesn't fit every year. And Doug, I think, is a guy that's never going to do two of them in a preseason.
Yeah.
I think the Jags did do that one year with Marone. But I like it. I think it's kind of a change of scenery for these guys, and we'll see what they get out of it. Now, what always sticks out to me about joint practices is when they went to Baltimore one year, they were like, hey, what part of the reason we like the idea of Baltimore is you get Lamar Jackson, see him running around a little bit, and you might, how to defend that. And you get a look at that because the league's getting more mobile. And then they were so disappointed coming out of here because, like, they didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, just ran a wishbone, might as well have, right? Like, didn't show us anything.
So they were almost like, the way I took it is when they set it up, Harbaugh and company, again, this is my interpretation, Harbaugh and company was like, yeah, we'll probably do some of that stuff. And then they got there and they didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think there was a little disappointment. I would love to know the behind-the-scenes conversations of Andy Reid and Doug Peterson going into the game last week. Okay, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. What do you want to get out of it? What do you want?
Sure.
You don't have to tell me what play you're running, but
no, I mean, I think that they would help each other out because obviously there's that common rapport there. I mean, I think Andy Reid was kind of like a mentor to Doug Peterson.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so they definitely had some sort of, I mean, I don't want to say like script right up, but like I'm sure they kind of went over a little bit of what they want to see from each other's team.
Yeah, and well, so to that point, now you have these conversations with Todd Bowles and the staff and what you're trying to get accomplished with Tampa. That relationship, I think, is kind of fascinating because most of the time you're competing against each other. You want to win. It's a secretive league. It's a paranoid league. But in these instances, you're kind of like going back and forth and working hand in hand to make sure you get the most out of these practice sessions. So I just find that relationship pretty interesting. There's another two headlines coming out of the last couple of days. One, I just mentioned this to you. The Bills are placing wide receiver Chase Claypool on injured reserve. I'm like, man, what a weird career for that guy. A wasted career now, right? But it got off to a good start, I thought, and got people excited.
He was the guy for a little bit. He was Mapletron in Pittsburgh, and just I could never really because he was with Pittsburgh, Chicago, Miami.
And now
maybe went to Buffalo then. Okay,
I didn't even know he was with the Bills.
yeah, for sure.
But that's kind of where he's gone. So speaking of receivers, I saw this quote from Matt LaFleur yesterday, and he said something to the effect of, "You guys want to make me vomit when you say wide receiver number one." And so it got me thinking a little bit. And so his viewpoint was like, "Listen, we got guys that can do a lot of things."
Well, this is Matt LaFleur, right?
Yeah.
Well, because you don't have one.
Yeah. But
okay,
so you don't want to label it.
Yeah, it's because because Devontae Adams isn't there anymore. That's why.
But it got me thinking, what if fans get wrapped up in, label all these things that coaches don't, organizations don't? Because, like, I could see Doug saying a very similar thing. Doug won a Super Bowl without necessarily a number one wide receiver in Philadelphia. So the stock put on that is probably not as much as maybe somebody else who says, in Miami, I can't live without a number one wide receiver, right? I need two of them. But are there other things that fans fall in love with? Their coaches are like, you guys are out of your mind.
It's a good question.
When you label us this way. It might be, I'll give you another thing. I mean, I'm trying to think of it as I say it in real time. It might be like that the league is so pass happy all the time. Yes, it's more pass happy than ever before, but I also go back to Doug when he won you would label Doug as a pass happy guy. Well, when they won the Super Bowl, they were 46%, I think it was. They ran the ball way more than people thought they did. I think offensive line in general is one where the organization always stands up for the offensive line and thinks they're better than the fans do.
Okay.
So that kind of fits. It's not necessarily a That's just good versus bad. But the perception of everybody's offensive line is they suck. And internally, everybody will vouch for them.
Yeah.
So,
Man,
I don't know if there's anything else.
I'm trying to, I wonder, like, how, and this is kind of, I've been out of the league since this has been really a thing, but the whole analytics part of it. Like, how much do coaches buy into the EPA? How much do coaches buy into PFF and all that stuff?
That's a good call.
Because, we fans on Twitter especially love to use those type of numbers.
They do.
Like, that's almost like the biggest gauge of determining whether a player is good or not, is what the analytical PFF and whoever's running that show says, or what some type of formula that nobody can seriously explain to me in terms of EPA. Like, I don't know.
How about, I'll go more specific, PFF, right?
Oh, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so, but PFF in 6-7 years ago, I think was more like that. Now they use it.
Okay.
See, I think now they use it. Okay. I think now they've got departments that use it.
Sure.
Is it the only thing they use? No. Is it the only thing we see or outside people see? To your point, yeah, probably. But I think you're right. I think this was a little bit like baseball analytics. You had your, like, half people or 2/3 of the people still hanging on to, hey, I'm using my gut, right?
Do you think they used EPA in determining Trevor's contract?
Good question. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
When you say they, do you mean Trevor's side or
anybody?
Side?
I assume Trevor's side because he had a very high EPA. So, like, maybe your numbers didn't reflect on being the highest paid quarterback, but you have numbers that show, like, your EPA was, like, one of the best in the league. So,
okay, so here's how I feel about numbers in general, and I love numbers. But I think, and I'm now going back in my kind of when the Jags were struggling or this or that, and what I think you'll get is you'll get GMs or coaches or whatever throw those things out at you when they need to, because there are numbers that you can make fit your narrative.
For reassurance,
right?
Yeah.
And so I think the same works for the player and the player agent. Okay, well, you're telling me that Trevor didn't do this or has too many turnovers. Well, look at his EPA, right? Or you tell me he doesn't have enough touchdowns. Well, I'll show you that highlight video because his EPA is so good or whatever is so good that these guys should have caught those balls, So I think when it's your advantage, you end up using it. So I would say probably. You're saying specifically EPA, but broader, you're saying do the analytics come into those contract negotiations? I would say probably. I would think probably. Now, what I wonder is, do they just use it when it's their advantage, or do they actually put those as part of the
if there's
stats?
Analytics out there that can, like, back you up in terms of maybe you aren't the best quarterback in the, yeah, I got you.
So like now, let's just say when we're negotiating Trevor's contract, you've got, hey, games started, right? You've got touchdowns and yards and win-loss record. You've got all those. Does that list now include EPA or yards per attempt or whatever things you want to get into? Does it include some of those that have become normalized to the point where now we're using those to add up, like, how good of a player you are internally? I think externally we do that. I still don't really understand QBR, but ESPN, they kind of made this thing up so they could have their own number.
Yeah, it's wild.
So now, but more people will say QBR because a lot of people watch ESPN and listen to ESPN, but rating was the old game. But you can find, like, a lot of guys from a rating standpoint that pop, but it doesn't always tell the whole story.
I mean, it's wild how ESPN just literally made up their own analytic, and then we should make up our own, Brent.
Well, we could. The problem is we probably couldn't push it out as loudly as ESPN.
Yeah, but if we keep doing our thing, eventually we can push it out. Like, what would our, like, thing be? It'd be like, all right, you take QB swag rating of 100, and then we grade that, and then we multiply that times, like, passing yards per game, and then you divide that by, like, interceptions, and that's going to be our thing. So we're going to add swag to it. We're going to add swag and confidence.
Where's swag on the QBR?
I'm saying, like, on a scale of 1 to 100, there's a swag rating, right? And then we couple that with, like, a confidence rating in terms of, like, standing in the pocket and everything. We can do something. I got it, Brent.
All right.
Awesome people, draw this up for us.
Draw this up. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey.
Have it to your table by Friday.
Thank you. Just don't put it on Hamby's table. Numbers, right?
Can you imagine Hamby trying to crunch these numbers? Woo!
You guys are unbelievable.
Man. Be like the guy in the bar at Goodwill Hunting. Like, really, you're getting shown up real quick. How you like them apples? I see you, Brent. Nice to you.
Go.
Yep.
Hey, let's go ahead and take one more time out here in the show. We come back. Kodak Black's message to Pop Warner's team. I don't even think we can play it because
we can play the first part. The first part's the
like 3 seconds.
The money part. Yeah.
Pretty wild. And then some. If you didn't catch it, you will when you come back to put a bow on the show live from Best Bet St. Augustine here on a Tuesday as the Jags get set for the Bucs coming up the next couple of days and on Saturday. Long week in town for Tampa making the trip across the state. After the game, that takes place at 2 o'clock today. Marty Lee, legendary coach of the First Coast High School Bucs, he will join us on after the game, presented by Baker Sports at 2 o'clock with Josh Baker and Kevin Sullivan. You don't want to miss it. It replays tonight at 6. It will also be on YouTube on a playlist on Action Sports Jack's YouTube channel. So a lot of ways to catch it. Hopefully you can today, especially all you high school football fans. It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville.
It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air.
It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com.
Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com. And they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs.
Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket. And while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
When I say it means something to me, gentlemen, it means something to me.
High school football is back and it's bigger than ever. Welcome to the Friday Night Zone Blitz.
It is bigger than a game.
Watch the biggest games each week live as the action unfolds with instant reaction and analysis from our Hall of Famer, Kevin Sullivan. It starts with live look-ins at the top matchups, including our Jaguars Prep Whataburger Game of the Week, and that is just the beginning of 4 straight hours of coverage. From 8 to 10:30, the Friday Night Zone Blitz is streaming on our Action News Jax app and online. At 10:30, the Friday Night Blitz you know and love a half hour of highlights from around the area. 11 o'clock, we shine the spotlight on the bands that pump up the crowd. 11:15, it's time to blitz through the highlights online and on air. Then 11:35, back to the stream to break down the night's results with a reaction from local coaches. 4 straight hours of high school football on the Friday Night Zone Blitz, only on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Well, there's a look at Jags headquarters and the Miller Electric Center. A nice light practice today, and really yesterday, 2 practices that will be beefed up over the next couple of days. That's coming up tomorrow and Thursday against the Tampa Bay Bucks. So give it to us. J.J. McCarthy held out of practice. And we're just saying, where are the headlines? Oh, they could come injury-wise. Well, here we go, injury-wise. And,
yeah.
Obviously, the rookie quarterback out of Michigan, picked by the Minnesota Vikings, and had done some good things in camp. I saw he was held out of practice yesterday. Jahmyr Gibbs was another guy who was banged up yesterday for the Detroit Lions. Those were 2 headline names. But now bigger news on McCarthy.
So Adam Schefter reporting that ESPN sources are saying Vikings rookie first-round pick J.J. McCarthy is expected to undergo knee surgery that will determine how much time he will be sidelined. McCarthy complained about knee soreness over the weekend and underwent an MRI Monday night. And then Adam Schefter, a couple minutes later, reported that Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy has a torn meniscus in his right knee, per head coach Kevin O'Connell. So I assume maybe a press conference, something like that. And Kevin O'Connell said that. So torn meniscus, McCarthy probably out for a little bit.
Yeah, meniscus, obviously better than having the ACL.
Yeah.
Could mean you could come back at some point, but he's obviously going to lose a lot of reps and time in his rookie season now for the Minnesota Vikings. So that does become the big domino, or the first one to really fall this training camp. From the quarterback standpoint. And I don't know what their plans were in Minnesota with McCarthy, but they have Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people, I think, that thought he could kind of hold it down.
Well,
anyway.
I mean, yeah, he had a pretty good preseason debut.
Yeah. So after that, they've got Nick Mullins, by the way, and Jaron Hall. You know what's kind of crazy about their, how quick, like, some of these websites work? Like, that just came out a couple minutes ago, right?
Sure, yes.
They've already got them in red, injured red on the depth chart.
Yeah.
How fast is that?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they do have Sam Darnold. They have an interesting team, really. They're going to see if Sam Darnold's got anything. They're going to see if Aaron Jones has anything left. Mm-hmm. And then they obviously got stud and Justin Jefferson. They got problems with Jordan Addison, who obviously had a nice year on the field, but big problems off it.
Yeah.
Interesting team.
I mean, but this is...
And C.J. Hawkinson. I mean, they've got pass catchers.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I'm not sure what the plan was. I don't follow Minnesota that closely, but one would think that Sam Darnold was going to be the starter regardless of how McCarthy looked this preseason, and then it was really Sam Darnold's job to lose, because we've seen anytime that you can bring through a rookie and, develop him and let him watch a little bit on the sidelines, I think there is some benefit to that. So I think it was always Sam Darnold's position, but they liked what J.J. McCarthy was doing in practice and in the preseason and everything. But now it's going to be a little extra time to kind of sit back and watch if you're J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, I think this is probably more relatable to Jacksonville example. I was going to also say this probably had the feel of like an Alex Smith to Mahomes. Can you hold over and push him back? Now, Alex Smith played very well, right? He was like an MVP candidate. And this might have played out a little bit more like Jacksonville did, where you had Chad Henne to Blake Bortles, right? And Henne was sooner or later like, okay, we're going. They did not want to go with Bortles as early as they did, but they're like, okay, we're going. And you could see it playing. I like the way you said it, because in Minnesota, it'd be like, okay, Sam Darnold, it's your job, until it's not. Until you lose it. And then when we just see like, all right, we got to move here. We're going to J.J. McCarthy. We need a boost. We need a whatever. That could be 3 weeks. That could be 6 weeks. That could be 12 weeks, just depending on the example. Well, now it looks like it's going to at least be some significant time and some more rope probably for a guy like Sam Darnold, who's had a chance now in multiple spots. Obviously, the Jets, he had a little bit of a chance in Carolina. I think he went to San Fran. He didn't really have a chance there. He's the backup guy. Now gets another opportunity. How many quarterbacks get 3 opportunities?
It's a good call.
Very few, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Mitchell's one. He got Jacksonville. He got Indy. And no, it wasn't designed to be his team in Indy. But you knew it was a possibility. And now he gets potentially the Raiders if he wins that job.
And then you have a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick who got like every single opportunity. I think the only team Ryan Fitzpatrick didn't play for might have been the Jaguars.
He did. He got a lot of opportunities. He certainly fits the bill. He's a leader in the clubhouse. All right, Kodak.
And say no to drugs. They too good. Y'all gonna like me and go crazy.
Kodak.
Really? Yeah.
I mean,
don't even set the table. Just put the food down for everybody.
When Kodak talks, we listen.
So
do you want the kids listening?
Kodak Black, a guy that we talked about before, Brent. This is kind of, I feel a couple months. Well, it's a lot longer than that. But remember when the Florida Panthers invited Kodak Black to as the guest honorary NHL ambassador, if you will, and NHL was tweeting about him and everything, and then he was doing some stuff in a club seat, and then they deleted all those things, and he wasn't an ambassador anymore, and they kind of just washed their hands of everything. Well, now Kodak Black is back, and he said that 10 times fast, and talking to a Pop Warner team, if you will, and I mean my personal favorite. There's a lot of expletives being passed around here, but my favorite thing is, and Hamby, if we can see it one more time here. Just the first part of it.
The audio, actually.
The audio. Okay, sorry, yeah.
Go to school to play football. Gotta have football. And say no to drugs. They too good. Y'all gonna like me and go crazy.
I mean,
okay, get it off, Abby.
It was down on our end. Don't worry.
Okay. Good deal.
I mean, wise words, immortal words. Put those words in stone. Just say no to drugs because they're too good. You're gonna like them and go crazy. Imagine. I'm imagining
Kodak leading the drug war in the late 80s and early 90s.
I would just imagine going to talk to my son's class and anything hey, y'all stay away from sugar because it tastes way too good. And you're gonna go, it's anything. You can't say it to kids. You can't say because it's too good and you're gonna go crazy because then kids are gonna be like, I think I want some of that. You know what I'm saying? Drugs are probably the last thing on these kids' minds, but then Kodak Black comes around and says, hey, they're too good.
You might want to try it.
Now kids are going to be like, well, I mean, Kodak Black said they go crazy. So, yeah, kind of a funny soundbite. I mean, obviously we couldn't play the whole thing because there was some expletives and some language and everything, but I like it, man. Hey, kids love Kodak Black. What can you say?
Do they?
I mean, he's kind of like the in thing. Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
What was he wearing?
Just, that's
get past that.
That's what we call hip hop, Brent.
I was like, when we go to matching, does this match?
That's hip hop. No, it doesn't match. Doesn't have to match, man. That's hip hop now. Looks like it went through the wash a couple times with some bleach. Honestly, splotches. That's cool. I like Kodak.
Do they regret bringing Kodak? Or is this hey, well done. That was great. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm sure there's one concerned prince. Okay, that's enough, Cody. We're good. This reminds me when I first got drafted by the Jaguars, and it was I guess it was going. Yeah, it was before I even got on the field. This was like during the off season. I got drafted, and then getting ready to go report to spring camp. And my grade school, my old grade school brought me in. And I was under the presumption that I was kind of like a little meet and greet, the side of the kids, walking the classrooms and everything. Well, no, they had an assembly where I had to like get in front of like an entire
whole
school.
thing?
Yeah, and I didn't have any kind of thing written. So I remember there was one point where I was talking about how you have to be respectful, and I even told him, like, I'll be honest, like when I was in school, I didn't really care that much, and sometimes I wasn't respectful to teachers, but work hard. That's what I didn't know what to say. And I wasn't gonna lie. I'm like, I'll be honest. Like, I sat where you sat, and I didn't like school that much. But yeah, so in retrospect, probably should have prepared a little speech. But next time, tell me I'm giving a speech to the entire, middle school and grade school.
And next time, just ask Hamby to come because he would have just started. School is sick. It's awesome.
It's lit.
Right.
Wait,
it's lit.
I would give a great speech.
He should have delivered this.
Oh, I still crushed it, but there's just some verbiage I'm sure teachers probably didn't appreciate what I said.
The last part of that Kodak Black video, there was a kid that he put something on. I don't know exactly what.
Oh,
that was.
yeah, it was the chain like a bandana.
I want to see that kid play now because all the kids were like, Lamar Jackson,
I know. Like this.
Jackson.
Listen, this is going to be a future first-round pick here. Mark my words.
Yeah,
whoever this kid is.
Calling the kid Lamar
This kid's already got an NIL deal, probably worth $2 million already.
Yeah, probably does.
Texas is calling him right now.
All right, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Best Bet St. Augustine, the place to be today, and stop down each and every day. We'll be back later this month. Back out at Jags tomorrow. Bucks and Jaguars joint practices. We got 1st and 10 training camp tonight, and at 2 o'clock today after the game, then the Young and Norvell show. Have a good one, everybody.